got numbers.
Hey, we got numbers. Welcome to Cleveland Moto Podcast 501. Spring has sprung, the birds are chirping, everything's awesome, riding bikes in Cleveland, Ohio, doing all the fun, cool shit. We got breakfast at dinner. Becky made us delightful. I mean, just so good.
Delicious.
It is really, really good. Yeah, it was super
Blueberry
nice.
French toast.
Yeah, blueberry French toast and scrambled eggs and all the good stuff. It is such a nice thing because I didn't eat well today at the shop. So I was very much ready to throw down when I got here to the podcast. Small podcast tonight, guys. If you're watching from home or you're playing along live, to my immediate left, we have
Steve Sleepy.
And to his left,
Johnny Mac.
And behind the bar tonight,
Tom Pennington.
Yay. And your humble narrator, Phil Waters. It's just been a great thing. I know we talked last week about a gentleman that was buying a brand new V100 Mandello S model. He got all the cool Öhlins adjustable suspension, all the neat shit, but he traded us in a 2015 BMW R9T. He didn't tell me that it was coming with all the trimmings. So it's got the case guards on it. It's got the really sleek kind of small bags. They're not hard bags. They're, soft luggagey bags.
He sparked it hard.
He did.
Oh,
and then it's also
sparkled it up.
It's also my favorite thing is he has the bitch pad eliminator. So there's a hump there, and I got to figure it out because it looks like that hump by the bum stop. There might be a little hidden storage area back there to put your weed in there. Yeah, but it really is nicely laid out. He's got about 10,000 miles on it. But it was fun because since it showed up, I was like, well, it's a trade-in bike. I got to make sure it's good.
Oh yeah,
and I have been riding that thing exclusively. I've put probably 300 miles on it in the past 3 days. And what a nice bike it is. And it's just perfectly maintained, really nice machine. And just, I've been a sucker for R9Ts since the day they came out. I've always liked them. And this is a good example of a bike that's fully broken in, runs great. Dave King, howdy guys. Greetings from Texas.
Well, that's the funny thing is that you've got it. You've been riding it for about 4 or 5 days now.
Yes, yeah.
So what did you ride this evening?
I rode the Ewan McGregor bike. So today.
So how was the contrast between the Ewan McGregor R9T?
Well, the Ewan McGregor bike is the R9T Urban GS 40th Anniversary Edition. And I'll go ahead. I'll pull a picture up at some moment. Give me a moment here. But that is a totally different experience because at first the thing you can't ignore is it has TKC80s on it.
Yeah.
So instead of two 17-inch wheels, it's got like a 19 on the front and a 17 on the back, and they are TKC80s. I have ridden Dunlop 100% Pro off-road dirt tires that vibrate less than this bike does.
Well, those are brand new TK. They're nicely squared still.
God, it is the most vibratory experience.
He was pushing it across the floor at the shop earlier. I'm like, wow, man, that is just massaging your hands.
And you kind of feel the whole shop going when you're pushing it. And it is a stupid pretty bike. A very, very stupid pretty bike. And I can't, I'm not going to bitch. It is beautiful. I love it. It's super cool. I'm very, dude, it has 430 miles on it. 430 miles is just not very many miles.
And how many did it have before they put the TKC80s on it?
No, that's how they came from the factory.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, that's how they came. That is literally how they showed up. And the bike is how it shows up. It's got the Akrapovich exhaust on it. I'll throw it down there, and if Sleepy wants, he can throw it up to the screen.
I will admit, I'm a sucker for the Bumblebee paint.
Yes,
but I do like the black and silver R9T better.
Right, exactly.
That is a lot prettier bike.
No, that black and yellow gives me the willies.
It does, yeah.
Well, it's good.
I came 1 millimeter from driving to Massachusetts to get the original.
To get the reverse one,
It had 7,000 miles on it. And the guy's like, he just didn't believe I was going to drive that far, so he sold it to somebody else.
Oh, really?
I was pissed, dude. I had at the time, I had a trailer rented, everything. And I'm getting in the car. He's like, man, I just can't believe you're driving from Ohio, dude. Sorry, I had to sell it. I was like, you motherfucker.
And that's something like, give me an opportunity to fail.
Yeah, right.
Before you punish me.
I was like, do you want me to send you the U-Haul's receipt for the fucking trailer, bro? Like, come on.
It's so.
I offered him a deposit. I was like, let me send you $500. Like, who's going to skip out on $500, man?
Right. And that's a big part too, is like, I'm willing to throw the money down to prove the case. Right.
I think what happened is that as soon as people found out it had 7,500 miles and was as mint as it was,
they started throwing him extra money.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, oh, it's sold for $8,500, whatever I was paying, like 75, whatever it was. And yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. Some guy offered him the stupid money.
And it is funny that this particular bike has the 719 package. So the 719 package, somebody can explain it, but I'm just going to go into it. It has the gold rims, which for me, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I know.
Deal breaker, not a maker.
No, it's a deal maker.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I would not-
Tom is in the wrong here.
It doesn't do it for me. I wish they had the silver Acrons.
Right. And then that's the way you get it if you don't get the 719.
Yeah.
Like the gold rims are so important in general in my life. I can't stand gold. There's not another place in my life where I'm like, ooh, I would like the gold version of that.
No, not at all.
But with motorcycle rims, all fucking day long.
If I had a Toyota Camry and it had the gold emblems
Oh,
package,
that gold package.
I would take it off. Right?
Right.
I promise you. If I had a Buick LeSabre and it had the gold trim package, I would take it off. There's no doubt.
I've been trying to trade my Africa Twins rims.
Yeah.
For the gold
get the
ones
golds.
for fucking
Well, that's
ever. I bet
different.
every time I'm like, some guy's like, oh, I'd really like the black ones. I'm in, dude. I'll put brand new tires on the motherfuckers. Let's go.
And then this, because the 719 package, it also has the yellow handguards. It has the, go ahead. It's got the higher mounted exhaust for whatever that's worth. It has the 40 years GS graphics. That's a sticker. It's a decal. Yeah.
Oh, that $400 decal.
It has the black and yellow seat bench, which, that's going to stay dirty looking. That's never going to look properly clean. 1200 cc lettering. Okay, I guess that's important to remind people it's a 1200, right? And then the windscreen with the GS logo. That's what makes this bike different. That's what makes the bike special. And when you throw the picture up of the 719 package, so in case they were trying to hide it to you, it's very subtle. The number 1200 on the bike.
Yeah.
You can barely see it. It's just in giant.
Hey, Phil, is that a 200?
That's a 3,000 point font.
I'm going to go buy some yellow spray paint and go hit my GS in the garage and see if I can get that money for it.
Get that money for it.
Dude, you know what you got to do
Absolutely.
is get a little tiny piece of black tape and make it say 4,200. Just to fuck with people. It's the big bike.
Like you said, he still needs the standee of Obi-Wan Kenobi on the back that flips you off every time you drive.
We
by.
do, yeah. And it is kind of fun now that I'm driving the bike around, and yes, you can all fucking hate on me, but I still have Ewan McGregor's license plate on the back of it.
I think you should put an extra one and have it be 11,200.
11,200, right? I'm kind of subtly waiting to get pulled over and have the cop be like, oh, yeah, that comes back to Ewan McGregor. I have the address, too. There's two bikes, two titles, and both titles have different addresses.
You're trying to get pulled. You're like out there waiting in front of the cops. Like, come on.
I was going to say, that was the question. Is it titled to him or is it titled to a holding company?
No, it's titled to him.
Okay.
However, the address is not where he sleeps at night.
Right.
The address is for his management.
P.O. box, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever company. And so when Merritt was doing the title, she's like, there's two different addresses on these two different bikes. So I was like, yeah, I know. And I already Google Earthed them. And they're just management companies. They're just actors management companies.
It really is a shame that nobody gives a rat's ass about the other one. I don't even remember what it is.
It's a GSX-S.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
a
not a
fun bike.
GSX-R.
It's not a horrible bike. It's just totally just there.
It needs a snout.
It needs something.
It needs something.
Let me put it this way: the Quintana's front end is a lot better.
It is kind of like, oh, you're a motorcycle, we get it, but you need something. What do you need? Like, you're looking at it trying to give it therapy.
And it is, oh God, it is, yeah. And
Moto Smith likes your bike.
There are so many crimes. There are so many war crimes that are happening on just the front end of the bike, because a GSX-S 1000 GT is a really nice looking bike. I mean, they're just really cool. And when you look at the X, which is a street fighter,
it's unfair because it's sitting next to the Multistrada, the R9T Urban, and then you get this thing, and you're like, oh.
It's not. I mean, that angle, it looks dope as shit.
Because it's pointing its face away from you.
Right.
This one, you're like, this is like when you see somebody at the bar and you're like, oh, damn, she fine.
And then she looks at you and she's looking at 3 different people.
Right.
Yeah. 2 teeth.
Then I know I'm in.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be easy.
My situation's looking up dramatically right now. This particular picture, and it's not just this particular.
Like it's not even a bee king. It's just there.
It's very weird, but yeah, you can throw this picture up. I don't know if it's going to translate well, but
you can look happy about owning that.
You can see like the headlights couldn't figure out where they wanted to be.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, headlight, another baby headlight. And then a negative space, and then a giant back of a speedometer.
I keep waiting for like little girls to pop out and go, Mothra, Mothra. Like some fucking alien.
It really does. It looks like the steps to some ancient pyramid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If it had, it's the Aztec edition. I don't know, man. There, Zool.
It comes with the free Pontiac Aztec. That's what you haul it with. You put that bike in a Pontiac Aztec and you are fucking pimping, man.
And if you want to pull the picture up here,
like my eyes literally go from the Multistrada, the R9T, it skips over that and goes straight to the your Tiki bike and Scoot Baka. I'm like, there's another bike there.
When you look at this picture, which is the GT, the headlights also look stupid low.
Yeah.
It's like somebody just went.
That looks like it's getting sucked into a black hole.
It's about to be spaghettification. Yeah. So this motorcycle is being sucked in.
It certainly does.
We don't have to put.
Fast, it pulls itself through the air.
If we put the headlights low enough, we don't need fog lights.
That's true. That's true. You're like, okay, I know where the headlights are supposed to be. Let's put them 10 inches lower and 8 inches more to the front. We're really going to punch a hole in that wind. But it does. And this is the better looking of the two, and it's not great looking. Yeah.
That was terrible.
It's just there has to be somebody like involved with it. There needs to be an intervention with this bike.
So what's interesting? So like the whole like YouTube motorcycle scene, right?
Right.
It's like at this point, Suzuki has like completely dominated the squid market. Like everybody considers like all the like a lot of the big YouTuber guys be like, oh blah blah blah, unless you're a GSX rider or something like that. And it's like, but they keep doing this shit. They keep bringing out bikes that look weird and only appeal to a certain like kind of people that they lose value. So like if you want to have a sport bike and you don't have a lot of money, you end up with GSXRs.
We are making bikes for the strong third owner market.
Hey, if I ever find an affordable NM4, I'm buying the damn thing.
Well, and that's the thing too. So on that note, since we're talking about that kind of stuff, we had a young gentleman come into the shop a couple of weeks ago, and he was long on love and short on wallet, right? And he came into he showed up in the shop, and he was particularly interested in our Suzuki GSX-R 600, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is an 07 motorcycle that we took it on trade last year. And
was that the one with the handlebars dropped to it?
This is the bike
up above the triple trees.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So this is one of these motorcycles that the previous owner of this machine had decided he really wanted the front end of this bike to emulate those sweet, sweet drag bikes.
Yeah.
So what he did was he moved the clip-ons above the triple, and he dropped the triple down a solid 2.5 inches.
I'm going to go with about 3, almost 4.
Yeah. So the clip-ons ended up being on the wrong side of the triple.
Mm-hmm. That thing looked like it was falling on his face.
It did. And if you jammed the front brake, if you give the front brake a good honk, you could just hear the sub fender just smooshing itself into the radiator and smooshing itself into the bottom of the fairing. So you're like, yeah, that's plastic on plastic. That's got to go. So I hadn't done anything with it because I do not care about this motorcycle at all. In fact, I sort of took it in on trade under protest. It's got 27,000 miles on it. It's an 07 Jixa. It ain't anything I care about.
It's got a rap sheet somewhere.
It's got a rap sheet. I think more than one person's gone to jail as a result of this bike. Yeah. The left side of the bike's in good shape. The right side's held together with zip tie. Right.
That was sold by a girl whose baby's daddy was in jail. and then bought by another guy who is now in jail.
Who's now
and
in
the next
jail.
guy is the brother of him who brought it in to trade in just to get it out of the fucking
Get
system.
it out of the family. Yeah. If this title gets booted one more time, like you couldn't read the back of the title, it's all just transferred over.
Yeah.
They'd filled all 5 transfer slots. Yep. And before it had ever gotten retitled ever again. So this young dude came into the shop a couple of days ago, and we've had a number of people come into the shop and look at this bike because of exactly what it is. Oh, Scott Dennis, also howdy from Always Sunny's Wintersville, Ohio, right? Wintersville, Ohio, interesting. So we had a few people come in and but the problem is, and I'll tell you, you cannot finance a vehicle that costs less than $4,000. The bank no bank wants to write you a loan for $27.99. No bank wants to write you a loan for $3,500. They just don't.
You got to go to a credit union.
Well, and then we run into a problem where the motorcycle is, no shit, more than 10 years old, right? So this bike is like 18 years old, right? So we have an 18-year-old bike here. And so nobody's going to finance you on an 18-year-old bike. Nobody's going to finance you on a bike that Kelly Blue Book and NADA have a huge discrepancy over what it's worth because nobody's willing to admit it's worth a nickel.
That's because every time they're used, they
The
look like
stupid church credit union that I belong to, I ask them, like, what can I buy? I mean, can I buy? No, you can buy anything you want. I'm like, I can buy a 69 Corvette. Yep. It doesn't, anything you want. As long as
Tell me how much to write the check for. My Ohio Educator Credit Union's the exact same way.
I'm like, they don't care.
They don't care. Now you go to Octane Financing or Roadrunner Financing or any of the finance companies that the dealerships usually use, and they're going to have a lot of rules. They want to make sure that they're not going to be in a situation where they have to repo a bike and the bike is worth less than the repo.
Well, I mean, you're looking at a bike that typically isn't in the condition that this one is in.
Right.
And that's still saying something because this one actually is in nice condition compared to the ones that I've usually come across.
Nicer than most of them come to the shop trying to get service, right? At least
it's not been spray painted.
Right. It doesn't have fur on it.
Exactly.
And the stator recall's been done. The voltage regulator recall's been done.
Yeah.
And aside from it, it desperately needs 2 tires. But here's the fun part of the story. The fun part of the story is we put $4,800 on it, mostly to just scare away the true dregs of society, right? So we figured $4,800. We know we're never going to sell it unless somebody comes in and physically says
it literally is going to be a shelf in 6 weeks,
or maybe somebody who wants a fucking track bike.
Yeah.
Right. So
what, like that guy
I know
right here that keeps buying bad bikes?
Well,
I got a good one now.
Let's talk about what actually happened, because what actually happened is kind of interesting. The kid came in, he's driving, he shows up with my truck with a snow plow on his truck a week ago. It ain't snowed in a minute.
Yeah.
But he's got a snow plow in the truck. It's got, JT's Landscaping or something on the side of it. And him and his bro show up and they jump out and they are the body fat content that only exists in 18-year-old boys, right? These kids are like,
and Sean's not here for this.
lean
Sean
guys.
is not here for this.
Lean young men.
Makes you jealous because you look in the truck and there's like 6 bags of McDonald's
Yeah.
and fucking
Oh, yeah.
all the other, and a coffee that's actually a melted milkshake.
They got like that. They got like leftover Five Guys that still has the bukkake of fries in the back of it.
Yeah.
We're going to stop for coffee, 3,000 calories.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
The
Nothing
kid
but
at
sugar.
work weighs 160 pounds. He shit style not. He lives on Mountain Dew and candy.
Yep.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all he
Yeah.
eats, candy.
Yeah, he'll hit 30 someday and it'll all stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, his dad's on an insulin pump. I'm like, don't you see where this is going?
Oh my God. Yeah. A cautionary tale's right in your house with you.
It's coming from inside the house.
Negotiations ensued. The long and short of this deal is, drumroll please, we sell the bike to the kid for $3,000 and $500 worth of landscaping he's doing at my house, either right now or tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm having him do my spring clean out, and I'm having him move a bunch of pavers I've got, and I'm having him set up for wildflower garden.
This is delayed, but this was important. I'm sorry. Very good.
All right, you get it. You're breaking news. Apparently, yard work is currency at Cleveland Moto.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
We talked about it, man.
We did, right? Yard work is currency.
As we get older, that becomes way more valuable.
I have traded for seafood, shrimp, housework, you name it. I traded a caravan for framing one time. I get it. I totally get it.
I used to work at a shop where small white bags would show up, and it would be like oil change and a full service. Yeah. Okay. And that would be an 8-ball.
I just imagine some dude in New Orleans with like a sock full of squid or something like that.
You go over the shrimp lot, give me a bag of shrimp, man. We're in.
Give me a bag of shrimp.
Oh yeah,
Fucking sock of shrimp.
get you a couple sacks.
Oh man.
They're all crawfish from some fucking
Dave's
thing.
got it right. Yard work is hard work.
Yard work is hard work. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, so that deal's happening, and then so Tom unfucked it today. So Tom raised
for once.
Tom raised it up to where it's supposed to be. Are the triples still on top of the?
No, everything is where it's supposed to be.
So are the clip-ons above or below
the clip-ons are below the upper triple, which is how they're supposed to be, because the little tabs go into the bottom of the receiver.
Did he have them flipped upside down?
No, he didn't. Everything was about right. The only thing missing is one piece of metal that holds the wires in place, but I've kind of got all that sorted out. So it is back where the way it's supposed to be, the way it's meant to be. Suzuki intended it.
Right, which it desperately needed. So
they're
that's
good
great.
bikes.
It's a great bike.
Yeah.
Is it fuel injected?
It is.
Then it's a good bike.
Because they're basically the Bandit with a fairing, so it's a great bike.
Yeah, I mean it's a across the rail 600. It's got fuel injection. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
We got a hot one. We got a big question. Where'd it go? There it is.
Swearinger's in for 20.
Hey, Swearingen.
And he wants to know about his old his G400.
So Dave Swearingen says, "Where's Mitch tonight? Hopefully out riding that G400C." I think Mitch he was working here in town. Mm-hmm. So he was here in town doing a job and managed. It was hilarious because we didn't know who it was. We just thought it was random guy. Rando guy number 4 calls us and says, "Hey, I desperately..." Bag of shrimp for currency. Scott Dennis. So we're just like some random guy's like, "Hey, I'm coming up there to look at that. I'm coming up there to look at that G400C." And we don't know it's podcast listener. We don't know it's Patreon member. We don't know it's the guy we've been talking about that's going to come out from Kansas City and ride the fucker back after DGR, right? So apparently he was a little nervous. He didn't want to wait that long. And so Renee just handles it like, "Okay, well,
he sneak attacked you?
We close at 6.
You had already you'd already told somebody that we're closed.
Renee gives him a hard out and says, "We close at 6." And so I get on the horn and he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming up to look at that G400C," like the whole deal. I said, "Tell you what, I'll hang around till 6:20 because I have some very important Wednesday night drinking to do." And so I'm hanging around, and then Mitch shows up and I realized, no, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is the actual
So he snuck attacked you by a couple of weeks.
Yeah, right. Okay. So he pops in. We don't know this is like a man of honor, that we don't know this is a podcast Patreon. We have no idea. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, the time is all off now." He's like, "Oh, because I broke a lot of traffic laws getting up here. So I'd be up here before 6 o'clock. But it was cool. We got the whole thing figured out and got the paperwork done. It was like one of the fastest bikes we've ever sold. So the whole transaction happened most splickety lit, and it was great.
Well, that was hysterical because Renee is pushing bikes back into the shop.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, "Renee, stop what you're doing and go fill out the paperwork."
Yeah, I said literally, I was like, "Stop. Go do the paperwork." Because the difference between Renee doing the paperwork and me doing the paperwork is about 71 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's vast.
Sign here, and get out.
Well, when I do the paperwork, then Renee has to do the paperwork again, right? So we do the paperwork twice. It's just better. Trust me, it's just better if I focus on the this is the bike, this is how you ride it, while she's doing the paperwork.
Hey, some people are guitar techs, some people are the players. You got to fucking pick your career, man.
Absolutely true.
And I still admit the G400C is a cool little, like I want to see the customized versions of all of these. This is a perfect bike for me, a custom bike.
And tomorrow we may be taking yet another one in because the one that you did the starter relay on, he's coming in tomorrow because he's like, "Yeah, well, it didn't blow my skirt up," and he only got like 480 miles on it. So he's like, "It didn't blow my skirt up. I really didn't ride it much."
Was he not expecting what he was getting?
No, he wants to go back to a scooter. So he went. He was a Stella fella. And he went from being a Stella fella, and he's covered in tattoos. He's got all the credentials, and he lives in Shaker Heights. And so he went from doing
the
Stella.
He needs a modded out Liberty 150.
What he needs is a GTS 300.
I know.
Because he's not a little boy.
Yeah.
So a GTS 300 is going to make his life complete because he has a problem where he likes to ride from Shaker Heights to further places away. So being able to go 80 on the freeway is going to be a nice thing for him. So that's going to be really nice.
Well, the
And
funniest,
having suspension on that side of town. Holy fuck, are the roads bad over there, dude.
Well, they are. They're pretty
10
bad.
years of my life. That's why I don't have teeth anymore. They all got fucking taken out by those roads.
There's a whole lot of okay in the heights.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say something, but apparently Scott Dennis has chimed in asking whether or not there's another 400C.
Okay.
We can probably make your dreams come true.
Well, let me do some digging. If anybody wants to step up with wallet, I might be able to make a phone call or two and get one brand new in the crate. I think I know where some might be hiding in Chicago. So yeah, that's just a weird thing. I just thought that was
next to
super.
Jimmy
cool.
Hoffa.
Otherwise, this one's black and silver, has about 500 miles on it, and just got a brand new Taiwanese starter
It did,
solenoid.
right? It did, it is funny because that all does make a difference. Believe me, none of that is inconsequential. All of that is very consequential.
So is that are you pulling up the Marini now?
So here's the thing. I just thought this was kind of funny because
I love the Amsoil sticker. Like right
it is funny. It does look like we're sponsored, right?
It's like
Yeah.
lit up.
It is lit up.
It's perfect.
Perfectly
It's
lit.
beautiful.
Yeah, I gotta call them. Hey,
Wow.
how would you like to know what your product looks like on our podcast? Ta-da!
We're test marketing Amsoil.
Last week, John thought that would be a really good idea.
Last week, John.
Well, the funny part is y'all just bought me like 27 box wines full of Bel Ray, and it literally looks like box wine.
Tom, we've never actually talked about that, but for 25 years, I have been buying my oil 55 gallons at a time because that's what adults do. We don't buy a quart. We don't buy a liter.
Yeah.
We buy a barrel.
It's environmentally friendly. Just
Yeah.
think of all those plastic bottles you've saved.
There you go.
However,
So we buy a barrel, we buy a barrel, we buy a barrel, and we've been buying barrels of oil for 25, 26 years. It's just fine. Didn't really think there was a problem with that. And then last time, Renee calls our rep to make our Bel Ray purchase, because we do like Bel Ray, and unless anybody says anything else, I'm going to say it's the best oil on the planet. And Renee calls our rep, and our rep goes, "Do you really want to make us coordinate freight?" You know, because it's not just coming through the fucking mailman, right? This is a drum that weighs 700 pounds, and you should see us wrangling these drums around. It's hilarious, right? And Tom just grabs them like one in each hand and moves them around the shop. Nothing but like piss and vinegar. Like true, when you want to, if you don't know how strong Tom is, watch me try to get one of those Bel Ray barrels off the pallet and onto the ground so we could roll it around the shop. Tom walks up and he's just like, "Get out of the way, Phil." And he just hip checks me out of the way and grabs the barrel and just drags the barrel down the shop. And I'm like, that's like a 700-pound barrel of oil, right? Okay, yeah. I digress.
What do they call that? They call that something.
idiot strong.
Retard strength. Yeah, that's it.
I didn't say anything.
I'll do it. I don't
asking
care.
questions. That's all I was saying.
Look, I believe in that. Again,
What about Rotella?
what about Rotella? We got gallons
We
of
have
Rotella.
gallons of Rotella.
No, but every
What's the,
oil thread ever.
Yeah, but
T6. It's just as good as any other.
I will trump. Anybody who comes in is like, "Well, Rotella, 20W50." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, we have
Got it in the
fucking
back.
we have 20 gallons
We have a
of
whole
it, dude.
rack of it, man.
Yeah, I have a whole rack of it. Don't you fucking try to fucking stump the chump on me, pal. That's what I put in my shit.
I'm sure
Hey,
you've
know what?
never heard of Rotella.
I am sure you've never
Let me
heard.
guess. You ride a KLR. How many fucking
You know
the
what?
double stack?
You know what?
fucking
I got
boxes?
all the T's.
iPhone
Yeah, T4, T5,
iPhone
T6.
strawberry, bitch.
Yeah, iPhone strawberry. Yeah, you know what? We're so retro. We run iPhone strawberry as 4-stroke, straight 30, baby.
Taking out Stella crankshaft since 2002.
Yes. How many crankshafts have you changed? All of them.
So yeah, y'all got me like 27 wine boxes.
They are
box wines.
Isn't it hilarious? Our rep is like, "Don't buy it in the barrels. You're losing money. Buy it in the
Bags.
50-liter bags." Like, it's crazy. But I think they're 50 liters. And they are boxes that have rubber bags inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, they've got the little dispenser-matic on the side and the whole thing. And they look so adorable stacked up.
Cafeteria milk boxes.
It is
Like-
cafeteria milk boxes. You're just going to put them into a gun system?
I'm not kidding. It is. I literally want to write wine down the side of them because they look like wine boxes.
Asti Spumante.
Franzia.
Yeah, Franzia.
That's Franzia.
That's the one.
Bel Ray White Zinfandel.
they're-
When I
Bel
lived
Ray
in
Boys
Aurora
in the
Shores,
Bell.
which was like super like weird like hillbilly like but like higher end hillbillies, you know?
Okay.
Oh, what,
But like,
me?
yeah, but like on trash day, in
what,
front of
me?
every single house, every
Stacks
fucking
of
house,
boxes.
stacks of Franzia wine boxes, man.
This is the Franzia 10W50.
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
And
The,
they're actually really nice. I've been using it lately because I've done several oil changes.
Yeah.
And you turn it because I'm used to it leaking.
Yeah.
So you open it up and you do the thing. You pour it and you close it. They actually close. They don't leak.
Matt Davidson says, just logging in to say, I hope you all go home and enjoy intercourse with your hat.
Yep.
Yeah. And he found the appropriate emojis too. He's on target. He's on target. He's absolutely
You know what?
on
You know what?
target.
We should get trucker hats and just write "fuck" across the front.
I have 71 trucker hats I don't wear.
Well,
I wear a
no,
lot
I mean
of
it's
hats.
merch.
If you ever see me in a trucker hat,
No, merch.
take my keys away.
Merch.
Yeah.
We'll
Just
get Renee
merch,
on that.
More merch. More merch. It's
We'll
all
get
about,
Renee on that.
It's all about the merchandising.
Merchandising.
So it is
Chianti W50.
Chianti W50. Absolutely.
Well played.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, we serve only the finest Beaujolais.
I
My
realize.
fava beans.
I realize it's a little bit of a problem for the people that don't watch the video that just listen to the podcast down the line.
That's why we just have to say that
then
there's a
know that
comment.
There
so we,
is, there
we
is
can
a
include
chat
them in it.
going on.
This pairs well with a 1972 CB750.
Oh my god! Well, it is funny on the new Royal Enfield. So the previous generations of Enfields have always run 10W60 oil, right? So 10W60, and we kind of got the world used to that. We're like, oh, it's 10W60
Wait,
oil.
is that in the gearbox? That's gear oil.
Well, that's
Don't they run just kerosene?
that's in the motor,
Lamp
right?
oil?
So inside the motor, you had your 10W50 because the Guzzi, it is historically speaking, has needed a extraordinarily powerful fucking starter. So Guzzis historically have a starter that you would pull off of like a Cummins.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just
I think a Chrysler Crossfire from like 1957 is where they got a DeSoto transmission.
completely ridiculously
It's
oversized starter. And that's why they go 10W60. They go 10W60 because it's a big fucking V-twin.
Yeah.
So it likes thick oil when it gets hot. But if you want any chance in shit of getting that bike to start at a temperature below 40 degrees Frankenstein, you need to have thin oil.
I mean, my Ambassador has a lawn tractor battery
Of course.
in it because that's what you do.
That's what they were designed to have.
But it's interesting though. Like now, trucks and bigger engines and things are all going to thinner oil now. Like when you get like now that I put that, well, when we put the new engine in my Dodge a year ago, they changed it. Now it's like a 5W20 or something like that.
That's so they can get into the hydraulic lifters.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, so your lifters
You
don't
remember
crash.
you had some lifter problem there for a while?
Yeah. Just a little, just a couple.
the Dodge of Theseus.
Yeah.
Well, so Guzzi now has changed their motor design.
Yeah.
Totally. So now the clutch is bathed in oil. And it's not its own special flavor of oil.
No.
So now the clutch, instead of having one giant car friction plate, pressure plate, it is now a whole stack of little plates, just like a motorcycle clutch.
To sort of give this a whole workaround, Phil and I both have been in training to become certified Moto Guzzi the past 3 days.
Yeah, as of today, we are certified Moto Guzzi
certified
mechanics.
Moto Guzzi mechanics. And the fact that I've worked on Moto Guzzis for 20 years,
Right. Yeah.
and looking at all of the things that are in the new V100 motor, because this is really what we ought to be talking about, is the new V100 motor is freaking crazy.
We'll rub against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to rub off on it. I mean,
I mean, that bike is fucking beautiful.
It's
So I would like to hear more
amazing.
about the engine.
Okay. I'm going to tell you two words that have never been in the same sentence ever. Moto Guzzi and 115 horsepower.
Yeah.
That's never happened before.
it is. That bike is amazing.
Moto Guzzi and 10,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
Like that's never been around each other.
Moto Guzzi and Desmodronic.
You're right. That's also
Because
true.
when he
Yeah.
said that, I went, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's a really, really interesting thing. But what's funny is when we uncrated the bike and I looked at the side of the bike and I saw a normal, 100% completely normal Nippon Denso starter, like would be on any 750 motorcycle on the planet. I went, well, that's never going to work. I was like, what optimistic cocksucker came up with this? That starter is way too small. It's the size of a beer can. And I was like, that's weird because normally on a Moto Guzzi, between those big jugs, between those giant V-twin, is a equally large Volkswagen starter. And I mean a Volkswagen Beetle starter, like an old 1600.
Even when you go with the Vallejo, Vallejo aftermarket, you're like, this is still a little bit light.
Right. So long and short of it is, they redesigned the thing so that it runs now instead of on 10W50 or 10W60 or 20W50 oil or what have you, it's literally speccing in for 10W50, which now made us buy more weird oil.
Different weird oil.
Yeah. Is this oil pink? Right. But it's also liquid cooled.
Yeah.
So that's another weird thing because nobody's ever had a liquid cooled Moto Guzzi before.
That motor, because I want to look closer at the V7 V8 85 motor, I guess I should say.
Yes.
But the V100 motor is just magical.
It is magical. It's smaller, it's lighter, and it makes way more horsepower.
And
How bad is it to use all car automotive coolant in a motorcycle?
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up because that just came up in our thing.
Exactly.
I love that. So here's the weird thing. For years and years and years, people have come into my shop. Waffle bar in the Rotskeller.
Waffle bar.
Yeah. It is so. It smells like.
It
smells like blueberry.
It smells like an IHOP.
There's blueberry pancakes.
I feel like
in
we
here.
should fight or throw somebody through a window or something.
A Waffle House. So here at the Awful House.
At the Alpha House.
Yeah. So we've always had these problems where we get phone calls. I'm going to say probably one call every 2 weeks. Hi, I'm calling about my I'm calling about my Aprilia. Okay. I need coolant for my Aprilia. Okay, yeah. What kind of coolant do you think you need? Because now I need to know what generation of Aprilia you have, to know who Piaggio was in bed with at the time, to know whose coolant they spec'd out in your manual. Because generations of Italian manuals, they will have had associations with the fascists at AGIP. They've had associations with Castrol. They've had associations with various different manufacturers.
Well, and everything with Aprilia, my experience, the time I had mine, was every single part on it in the manual will be like, only use exclusively the Aprilia thing,
right.
the crush washer. You can't just use a crush washer because this one is milled down to 0.0005 millimeters because it actually fits inside the part that goes into the thing and it crushes. So if it's even a fucking C hair bigger, it now destroys the whole inside of your motor.
You blew up your motor.
Yeah, but that's only like one of 100 parts that are all like that.
Because you used a metric crush washer.
Yeah.
That is used on 97 other motorcycles.
Nope, but you can't use that one. In fact, I forgot to give the guy. I bought a bag. So if you need some Aprilia crush washers, I got a bag of them.
I went through one time. I was freaking out over a lot of that Aprilia stuff. And I was nerding out. So I took my mics. So I took my verniers and I went through all of that weird shit. And I was like, oh my God, this is this part. And I just went through and I made an index of it. And I was like, okay, these are the Aprilia ones that are $7.38 a piece.
Yep.
And these are the ones that come 22 a pack for $3.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're exactly the same.
Oh, no, F1 Racing or whatever that company
AF1.
AF1.
Yeah.
They just, when you call him, he's just like,
He's just giggling. They're just laughing.
and you hear in the background, shing,
Oh, yeah.
shing.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can only sell you the actual real Aprilia starter solenoid.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Go into the baggie and grab one of those washers.
Right. It's so. When we were doing our training today, I get these phone calls from people that are like, well, I can only use Motorex Super Slip double dark pink purple coolant in my vehicle, and it has to be it's uncut, pure glycerol, whatever the hell. And they're just so fucking freaky about it. And I'm like, dude, go to Napa, go to AutoZone, get the shit for aluminum block motors for European cars. And I was like, this is what I've been telling people for fucking 20 years, right? And today in our training, yesterday in our training, the official god of US tech training is like, go to AutoZone.
He did.
Buy the pink colored Peak brand.
Peak brand.
No race team runs Peak brand coolant. That's for welfare people, right? Like Peak is not the best coolant in the world. It's not even Prestone, right? So he literally says, go to AutoZone and buy pre-mixed 50-50, diluted out, pink for European vehicles. He name checks it. He throws it up $20 a gallon for a gallon. Yeah.
Right.
Whereas the spec coolant that we've had people with Ducatis and whatnot coming in, I can tell you, is not $20 ein gallon. It's $20 ein pint.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
fuck yeah, man.
I mean, you're literally dealing with propylene glycol, water,
And food dye.
And food dye.
Well, that's what I figured. I'm like,
fucking is.
if this is made for all makes and models of car, it's made for all makes and models
Yeah.
of motorcycle.
And
Oh,
people
but they
who are,
get you in those fucking forums,
That's how
man.
they
You
get
get on
you.
the forums and the groups, and these fucking Italian guys are like, "No, they'll come and kill your firstborn if you put anything but Motor X in that."
At one point, they had like abrasives in there, like for older ones,
Well,
like for a
that-
cast iron
that-
block, the abrasives or something like that.
That bullshit that GM spec'd like 20 years ago that fucked up every head gasket in America.
you guys ready? Silica. So what it was silica, and the idea was if you put a little silica in your coolant and it runs through the motor, then it's going to clean all the deritus and all the boogers that from old coolant that would break down and would get, because your coolant goes into a reservoir, and the reservoir is not a sealed reservoir on these. God, I got in a deep dive today. But anyway, there's a lot of air ingress, there's a lot of moisture ingress, a lot of condensation ingress in the motor, and you end up getting these boogers all through your motor. So the idea for a hot minute was Prestone and all the other companies went, this is a great idea. We're going to throw some silica in there, sand, and we're going to throw that in there, and it's going to clean everything out. So it's going to clean everything out. It's going to clean the passageways. Your oil is going to cool better. But then they started noticing they started building engines out of aluminium. And when they did that, then what we ended up having all these goofy ass problems of, well, now we got cavitation, and it's literally putting holes in engine cases, and it's putting bad things are happening all over the place. And we're also having your water pump impeller is made out of, dihedrium, whatever the fuck it is, and
Plastic.
and
Plastic.
plastic and perspex and all kinds of weird materials, and the silica is just destroying that shit. So there came a big push where certain companies said, if your coolant is acid green color, don't use it. We are going to offer a silica-free blend that is going to be some other color, and then it was just off to the goddamn races. Because, Tom, okay, we're going to play the game. Raise your hand if you've seen pink coolant in a vehicle.
Well, what is it?
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
Raise your hand if you've seen orange. Keep it up if you've seen orange. Purple.
Yes.
Green. Blue.
Yes.
Straight up.
That's diabolical because then it's like windshield wiper cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
It is like windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah.
Straight up fucking yellow, like mustard yellow. I've seen.
Prestone kind of is that.
No, but that's the acid green.
Okay.
That's the acid green color.
That is acid green.
The yellow color is straight up mustard yellow.
It is, yeah.
And so I've seen all of these in working on all kinds of different vehicles.
When I pulled the coolant out of my Element, it was like emerald green with metal flake. And I'm like, what in the ever living fuck? And they're like, oh, you could only
What do they call that?
use
Chartreuse?
something weird.
Chartreuse metallic?
Yeah, chartreuse metallic.
Chartreuse
It's like,
metallic.
what in the crap did you guys use in this thing?
So that's what that is. And just to let you know that I love it when people demystify stuff.
Yeah.
And when they mystify stuff, and they're just like,
so what is water wetter at the end of the day?
I was going to ask you because I had to put that in my bike. So for my track bike.
Well, yeah, because track bikes can't have.
I'll help you out a little bit with that. So in the old days when we were racing, we weren't allowed to have any glycol on the track because when the glycol spills, when your bike overheats, when liquid cooled bikes started going on racetracks, and somebody popped. Excuse me.
Nice.
All right.
Waffle House.
So when somebody pops a line on the track, right, and you spill out a half a gallon of Prestone, well, everybody else crashes.
Right.
Because that shit is slippery.
Yeah.
And then the dogs come out and die.
And they say it's really hard to clean, too.
It's super hard to make go away. So it takes an insane amount of kitty litter and water to make that glycol go away, and it's super slippery for a long time. So tracks across America started saying the only thing we want to have in these motorcycles is water. And everybody went, no, my motorcycle will explode. Well, actually, they didn't explode. It was the weirdest thing. They didn't explode. And then Redline came out with a...
You already had half water to begin with.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. Your strongest coolant you're going to buy is never more than 50%. Well, let's strike that. You're adding 50% to it because you can buy concentrate.
Correct.
And then you add 50% of
Because that was the
distilled water to
the
it.
other part of the conversation today was you could buy straight up and then water it down to 50-50, or you can just buy the 50-50 like everybody should.
And I always buy 50-50 because it's clean water. If unless you're using distilled water with it, you're just better off doing the premix.
Okay. Now, let me tell you about Water Wetter. So water wetter comes out because there's this need where people are saying, I just don't trust having only water in my radiator. Turns out water actually does work really good in radiators. It's fucking amazing.
Unless it freezes.
Unless it
There's your problem. There's your problem. Is it freezes. Water itself in a radiator is not a problem.
No.
It is perfectly fine. It is 100% cromulent. However, we have an issue with the freezing point of the water and the boiling point of the water. So back in ye old days when I worked as a ramp rat at a FBO airport, our tug, circa Model A tug, ran around, and the old guy that worked there before me that honestly could not read or write beyond his own name, which is hilarious, but he worked there for years. He used to put de-icing agent into the rad on the brass radiator of the 1928 Ford Model A tug.
Which I think is mostly glycol.
Nope.
No?
It's ethanol.
So that makes sense.
So the patented product that you're buying when you buy water wetter is you're buying a very tiny bottle that you're going to be adding to water. You're paying an astronomical amount of money per ounce for this product. So you can go on the racetrack because water wetter is the only thing that is legally allowed on most racetracks, and it has a vicious pink color.
Blue now.
There's two. Yeah, there's two. So you can do water wetter in pink and water wetter in blue. And the principal ingredient for that is ethosylate. So it is a type of alcohol. That's what it is.
I was thinking it was going to be isopropyl, but
so
it just raised the boiling point or something?
And the freezing point.
Oh, okay.
So it takes the freezing point down.
Alcohol changes the freezing point.
Right. So alcohol changes the freezing point. And now if you look at the MSDS on the side of a bottle of water wetter, or there's another one that's out there too. Not Startron does one, but one of the other companies does one.
Yeah.
Redline does one. And that is phenol. So phenol is the chemical that's in there. So those two things will give you a wider operating temperature. In your water will be less likely to boil at 212. So instead of your water boiling at 212, it'll boil at like 240. And then instead of your water freezing at 32, your water will freeze at like 14 or 18. It just opens that water up a little bit. However, if you are not worried about your shit freezing or boiling over, then you can actually run water in it, because when water is... At what temperature does water boil, boys?
212, right?
Unless it's under pressure.
Okay.
Your coolant system is pressurized.
Yep.
So by pressurizing your coolant system, you are bumping your boiling point of that water up to well over 240 degrees Frankenstein. So for most applications of motorcycles on the racetrack, the water alone, if you're putting good distilled water in your radiator, you're actually fine. I kind of am on the category of water wetter, Redline. It's kind of snake oilish, but everyone runs it. So what the fuck?
I mean, it's like $15. It's not like,
it's not that bad.
It's not expensive.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So that's just an interesting thing.
That's really the thing. And somebody brought up that in the chat brought up the fact that it's a corrosion inhibitor, and that's correct, because a lot of stuff in your engine does not like raw water.
Well, and on top
of it will rust.
And this might be a dumb thing, but also just the fact that it's a dye that you can run in it. So like you can quickly look at your coolant tanks and stuff and actually see that there's something in there. Because when you look at water, it can be hard to fucking tell the level of the water.
I wonder if Cybertrucks
Oh God!
Oh no!
Will rust?
Are rusting?
Actually, Johnny, I was going to bring up a point that you made. You made outside that the water wetter, because it is pink or blue, makes important, because you have the CV1 you're working on that you're trying to figure out whether or not the head gasket's blown, and having a dyed coolant. You could see that versus water.
So Guy Stucker is absolutely right. So the whole idea is, does water wetter help break surface tension to help the water make good contact for better heat transfer? No. That is a big thing that I've heard everybody in the hot rod community, the motorcycle community all the time saying, water wetter breaks the surface tension. Yes, and if you've been dropped out of a helicopter from 700 feet and if you throw a rock out in front of you, the rock will break the surface tension on the water so that you will enter the water and there won't be any surface tension on the water, and then your body will go into this water, and instead of hitting concrete, you will then hit disrupted water because the surface tension is gone, and you will then proceed through the water gaily forward, and you won't die from the impact of falling 500 feet into water.
But you're going to hit that rock.
Well, you might hit the rock too. But this is a thing too that's been battered around for a long time. Is the surface tension argument. And so the surface tension argument, I'm going to say until somebody can prove to me that works, I've kind of looked at a lot of this stuff on Water Wetter, because when we were on certain tracks and they would say like, Water Wetter is authorized as a coolant additive on our racetrack. Go ahead. Yes. So distilled water
because you don't get the calcium in distilled water,
right?
Which is the biggest problem, because calcium will leave itself behind and corrode and fill up passages.
Absolutely.
So to a point, distilled water.
Yeah.
Because everything over the years, batteries especially, has been you add distilled water to your thing.
Correct.
And everybody goes, nah, fuck that. I'm going to use tap water. But then you get the calcium deposits, which end up corroding everything or blocking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I thought about this a minute ago, because Johnny Mac and I are here and you're here and Sleepy's doing what he does.
Right.
This is a good night for technical
It's
stuff.
a good night for tech tips.
Because there's no...
you ain't doing what I'm doing. What is that?
Well, you're doing your thing.
Well, but
Drinking your weed pops.
Weed pops.
Okay.
Weed pops.
Now, I love the fact that you've got two cans in front of you, and the largest fucking font on that says highly potent. I can read it from here. It says highly potent, 50 milligrams of tetrahydrochloride. Yeah.
You know what?
It's health tonic.
It is health tonic, all right. Fuck yeah, man.
It keeps you operational.
Yeah. It does keep you operational.
Hey, Scott Dennis says it's a coating on the tubes. Are you talking about the calcium, or are you talking about something else?
Yes, so this is what he's talking about. So in boiler operators, so I was going to just talk about...
That's the thing is, when you hit boiling water with regular water versus distilled water.
So what I was going to talk about is boilermakers. So guys that work in the application of hydraulic heat to large surface areas to make things warmer and or cooler. Mm-hmm. And the idea is this statement, Startron, what's the other one that we like, that the customers love all the time? They're talking about, it makes my gas last so much longer. Stable. So Startron, stable, and other things. This idea that changing something's molecular structure makes it better for our applications. I'm going to tell you a little something that I've learned from hanging out with scientists. It is very difficult to change something's molecular structure. That the thing is the thing, and short of a nuclear bomb, you're not going to alter its molecular structure too much. You're going to add things around it.
A good phaser.
A good phaser, right? Yeah, just set for disintegrate.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to put things around it. You're not going to actually alter the molecular structure of a particular atom or a particular compound. What you are going to do is you're going to put other things near it. You're going to put other things around it to rub up against them. And so the idea is, if water, dihydrogen oxide, 2H1O, if that, with its beautiful little triangle shaped scrubby thing that water is, that's why water's so good at cleaning stuff. It's little sharp fuckers. And they get in. Like, water does a great job of cleaning things because it's really great.
Well, I also dig fucking Grand Canyons, too.
It's pointy. It's pointy,
yeah.
Right? It's pointy good stuff. Now, when you say, like, okay, we're going to add a surfactant to something, then the whole idea is we're going to try to make the water penetrate better. Well, we're still dealing with water.
With that, like battery acid, it would say wetting in.
Exactly. Wetting in. Its
makes
ability,
better contact with the surface.
We do have a post-activation water expert here on staff.
Yes, we do. Yes, that's exactly.
And a power station
operator there, right?
Operator there.
Exactly. So the idea would be like, we don't have efficient cooling. This 9,000 gallons of water that's going through this power station or whatever that we're running, or your fucking outboard motor, right? Whatever it is, that water is not, it's not adequately cooling things.
I am imagining this. So, so imagine like your skillet, right?
Yes.
So you take your skillet and you throw some water in there. Well, it bubbles up. You do get that, or if it's really hot the way it should be before you cook on it,
right.
You throw that one little drop of water and it just rolls around,
dances around
the surface. Or when it's boiling, like the water's barely touching the pan.
That's right. There are gases happening between the water and the pan.
Things, yeah.
So the gases that are happening between the water and the pan are what that little drop of water is dancing around on.
Yeah.
Now, consider, if you will, for a second, the existence
But that pan is a lot hotter than
your motor.
Than your motor.
Right. Hopefully your frying pan that you're doing that is not 240 degrees or something nominal.
Oh no,
for the
my last
operation.
Vespa, it definitely, when I spit on it, it did that. After it seized,
When my
it was-
EGT said 1275. That's for exhaust gas temperature gauge. So here's why I say, think, if you would, about your grandpa's outboard motor. And your grandpa's outboard motor has water going into it and water coming out of it, and the water is used to cool it, right? That's how it works. There's a water jacket. The water comes up, it cools the piston down, and then water goes out of it. That's fine. And nobody ever said, oh, you know what? To make these motors more efficient, we should reject using all that nasty, nasty lake water or that nasty, nasty salt water, ocean water. What we should do is we should go to a closed system and use water wetter. Now, do you know what's more expensive than the motor in like a 1,500 horsepower, 35-foot boat? Precious little.
I was going to say two of them.
Yeah.
Right,
Most have.
two of them.
The best ones do have an enclosed system.
They can.
I like that too,
Yeah.
because then you're like,
Because that's heating the water for your shower and all your other fun stuff.
and it
Yep.
won't, when you go to winterize it, it has antifreeze in
It's
it. Not,
literally it's not going to freeze. And it de-stupidifies a lot of boat ownership, because a lot of people will own a boat in an area where the climate changes and they won't correctly purge the water out of their boat, and they'll damage their motors. But it is still a thing that extraordinarily powerful, extraordinarily expensive motorboat engines will in fact run. When you look at that giant 450 horsepower Honda that's hanging in the back of the cigarette boat or whatever, and there's a stack of 5 or 6 of them out there in these days, what you're not seeing is each one of those is running a closed loop cooling system. And that's because water does a great job. Water does a beautiful job. And it really, really does a great job. Now, adding surfactants to it is not going to increase the cooling ability of it that very much. It makes you feel good, but it's not going to change your dynamic performance.
it's my race bike, man. Every little bit counts.
Bingo. And that's where we have the problem today at the shop with a guy that was putting 94 octane gas in a bike that had 10.6 to 1 compression ratio. And he's wondering why he's on his 17th spark plug and his valves look like, a crispy chicken, right? Blackened Southern fried chicken. It ain't great, right?
Well,
Octane don't make you go faster, right?
It's so funny though. A lot of the guys like they're worried about the tunes and trying to maximize their power out of a track bike. I'm like, they're like, do you want to do a tune? I'm like, yeah, the stock one, whatever makes the remote. I will never use all the power that's in the stock motor.
Some of the best tunes in the world are set up for 85 octane.
You will never.
Okay.
I don't care how good you could be. And I don't think there are any Formula One racers or anybody listening to us right now that's like at fucking max, whatever the hell. You're not an expert. You will never be able to outride the bike you're riding.
My guy
Right,
today,
100%.
dude
No
today
question.
told me that 94 octane in his Navi
Yeah.
changed his world and made the bike better.
That bike,
That
the
is called, what do
Navi,
they call that? That's the when somebody gives you a sugar pill. The
Placebo.
Placebo effect,
the Navi is made to run on gasoline that has the bugs strained out of
Yeah.
it from the jar.
Yeah, pretty much like using RM2, like
like-
using American language, probably 84-ish.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I watched a Navi cruise past an intersection on the way to the cast tonight.
Yeah.
That sucker, I mean, granted, the person riding it weighed 102 pounds, but that thing took off from the light pretty
is-
good. I was like, hey, that thing's moving, man.
I'm still in the fuck Navi crowd. John's still in the I love Navi crowd.
The Navi, if somebody wants to donate one to my cause, they
doing
will
that.
run on kerosene.
The long and short of it is, it has 2 drum brakes,
Yeah.
1 carburetor,
Oh, it was a noodle of a bike. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out when you say carburetor.
2 valves,
Yeah.
right? And
How much are they in India?
$589.
The second valve is made out of jerky.
It is the definition of enshittification.
Yeah.
Right? It is how cheaply can we build it and still wear a Honda badge.
Right.
Right? And that's exactly what
leather
it is.
flap.
And don't get me wrong, I love the concept of the bike.
It's
And
a reed valve 4-stroke.
if you could sell that bike,
Atmospheric valve.
if you could sell that bike for like $1,200, I would be in.
It's got a constant loss power system.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
We rarely punch down, but the Navi is totally punchable.
Every time somebody brings one to the shop, I jump on the bike, I take it for a rip, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Go grab a carbureted Buddy 125 and let me send this fucking thing to school.
Yeah.
Right? Let me just tell you that 1978 technology that they're selling in the Navi.
Yeah.
We linked the brakes. How? With a 6-foot-long piece of cable.
Right. Now, the Metropolitan has the same exact braking system.
And that tells you all you need to know.
If only they could have the ratchet crank-up kickstart system off of the old Honda
the
Express.
QT50.
Crank
Crank it,
boom.
push the button. That was amazing. I loved that. You crank it,
They didn't think we were going deep enough. We just got a question for you guys. The two people that could totally answer this too.
What's that? Oh, 60s. Okay, 60s.
So
So the question is, what's your take on old 60s two strokes and octane?
like a wire, yeah. Like
Okay,
an R5
guys.
or something like that.
Good, because I've built 7 H2 motors.
Yeah. Actually,
I've had 3 or 4 of those H2 motors take me quarter mile at a time down the track. I would get in long arguments with Fast by Gas, and I bought buckets of Wiseco pistons. And so I can tell you, I have gone into those forbidden territories. Here's the trick. With old 2-strokes, you should, before you do anything, a multi-cylinder 2-stroke, let's go multi-cylinder just because we're going to go with multi-cylinder because it's just probably it's probably
easier.
What you're fucking jerking off to.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not jerking off to a single cylinder 2-stroke. You're jerking off to a multi-cylinder 2-stroke. Let's just admit it. You have the words H1 or H2 in front of you.
At the very least, you have an RD250 in your head.
Or an RZ350 or something. in your head,
And there has been a guy with an RZ350 ripping through the neighborhood.
Neighborhood guy.
Yeah.
Neighborhood dude. Okay, so here's the way it works. Keep in mind, these motorcycles were built in the 70s and early 80s. So one, octane ain't now what it was then, boys. So that's the first thing. Back when these motorcycles were built, gasoline had one ingredient. It was called gasoline. Okay. So when you bought gasoline at the gas pump, it had one ingredient. It had gas. And if it was before 1977, it had lead. So your gas in your H1 or H2 or your RD350 or your YC or whatever you had was actually built to rerun on leaded gas. The lead is lubricant. That's why the lead's there. It's there to make lubricant for the motor and to make your children stupid. That's what lead's for. And here we are. So here we are, and you can buy disco pants and haircuts. So keep that in mind first. Second thing, your octane, if you are not familiar with it, you should go online and you should find a chart that compares. We called them octane whiz wheels back then. We'd actually have a piece of cardboard that was printed out, and it had your octane on one wheel, and it had your compression on another wheel. And also you had a little window on there you could set for your timing, standardized timing, before before top dead center. And you could set the whiz wheel, and you would go through the whiz wheel, and that would tell you, based on your compression and based on your timing, how much octane you should be running in that particular motor. Also, if you're an aviation guy, you'll understand that like avgas sold at airports, which used to be leaded and is definitely ethanol free and all those other delicious things. But, that's cranking and a real world octane number, a research octane number. Keep in mind, pump octane number is research octane number and motor octane number. Those are two different numbers. So research octane number is the old way. And the old way was research octane number, and we'll give you a quick and down and dirty example. So research octane number of 95. That you go to Germany, you get off the airplane, you see the gas station, and you see the cheapest gas they sell. The cheapest gas they sell at the Esso station is going to be whatever the lowest price is, and it will say 95. Okay. Then it will say 97, and then it will say 99 or 100, right? So go ahead.
99 tush Luftballons.
So that's the way they do their gas there, is a research octane number. Back when we were young kids, our grandfathers had AKI, anti-knock index, is a method to measure their octane. Now, there is motor octane number, and other cultures will use motor octane number, and motor octane number has kind of gone away. But how our country does it is that we use the research octane number, let's just say it's 95, and then we use the motor octane number, and let's just say it's 84. We add those two numbers together, we divide them by 2, we end up with 87. When you look at the gas pump and you're buying gas at the Sheets or wherever you buy your gas, it says 87 RM2. It doesn't say 87 RON. It doesn't say 87 octane. It doesn't say 87 MON. And it doesn't say 87 AKI. Now, keep in mind, these numbers as they're tested will change between a cold motor and a warm motor. That has to do with the testing facilities that are determining the octane of the fuel they're selling you. The fuel that's being sold to you, the lowest number on the gauge will be the left tank under the gas station, 5,000, 10,000 gallons, right? The highest number that they sell you will be the right tank under the gas station, 5,000, 10,000 gallons. Everything else will be a blend of those two done by the blender pump. So if you click, I want 94 octane at Sunoco, you're going to get the first gallon and a half or however long that hose is between the little nozzle that you're putting in your bike and the base of the pump at the blender, which could be a gallon. You're getting what the last guy bought. So if you're only going to put 2 gallons of 94 octane in your bike because you've got 13-to-1 compression, you're God's gift to drag racing, right? Then you want 94 octane, but you just got it. And the guy before you was putting gas in his 93 Buick. So he's putting 87 in. That first gallon of gas you pump out of that pump is 87 octane gas. And I've measured it a couple of different places, and it's between half a gallon and a gallon, depending on how they get their plumbing done, right? So the long and short of it is you may be paying for 94, but you might be getting 87, or at least half of it.
That's why when you go and buy like at a race pump,
yeah,
it only says 87, and that's all that comes out, or whatever, 97
correct.
or whatever.
So
it's just one thing.
Right. When you are buying race gas, or you're at the track or whatever, when you're at the track, you will see, in Mid-Ohio, I'll just use Mid-Ohio as an example. You'll see one pump, and the one pump will have 89 ethanol free or 90 ethanol free. And then it'll go like a 92, 94, 96, and 100. And then there's like one spicy pump that's like 104.
Yeah. And that shit's like $9 a gallon. And
it
stuff.
is.
And it's like, and it's for such specialized cars that the cars are going don't make.
You should be very much aware of that. If you are purchasing fuel that is not adequate for your octane, for your compression, what will happen is the goal is that you have an adequate amount of compression. Octane is the resistance to combustion. So in the layman's terms, if we put...
I thought detonation was the
That's
word.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So the point is that the gasoline will take so much more pressure before it goes bang.
I was always told higher octane burns slower and colder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to burn as fast, so it's not going to detonate.
Correct.
And it burns colder, and by slower, it's not like, well, you're talking milliseconds and stuff like that. And then colder because it'll actually fill up the chamber better because it slowly burns and it's a little
Anybody
more
here
efficient.
see the movie Uncle Buck?
Yeah.
Do you remember Uncle Buck's car?
Yeah. Farting and burping all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back
and it smells fantastic.
back in the old days, the cars would suffer with leaded gas. They'd suffer with a lot of coke and a lot of deposits ending up on their piston and inside their valves and their heads. So what would happen is all that coke would build up. And believe it or not, if you make something's combustion chamber smaller,
I just like the way it smells.
the compression will be higher. Okay. So if you add a whole bunch of crap inside your motor and you coat the inside of the walls, not the inside, the top of your piston and the bottom of your head, if you coat that with all these remnants, this crap, if you coat it with all this coke, then you have less space inside your piston, less space above your piston underneath your head. That means things are getting squished tighter, and your gas will then pre-detonate, and this will create knocking and pinging. And then the advertisement used to say, knocking and pinging, go to Shell Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
Knocking and pinging, Shell Ultra will stop knocking and pinging. Our problem back then in the old days was we had vehicles that were running carburation. They were running so insanely out of tune. We were nowhere near the stoichiometric mix.
Usually really rich.
Super rich usually.
Yeah, because you shut them off, they just go.
Well, that was the thing behind Tekraline. It would wash all of those things away.
was the
It
idea.
literally was.
Well, and all those motors running super rich is why they didn't get more than 100,000 miles because you're washing the oil
Correct.
off the cylinder wall.
Correct.
Exactly. So Motorsmith Garage says, make sure to give your buddy gas first. Yes. Yes, that is exactly right. So yeah. Hey, dude, you you want to hit this?
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for it. You can come
I
and hit this
really
pump.
only need about a gallon. Perfect. Come on over.
Come on over here.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, you guys line up. This one's on me. Okay, you get the first gallon. I'm going to get the second gallon.
Yeah.
Or just wait until you see like some guy some asshole with a Porsche or Corvette go in there.
Yeah.
And he's going to buy the high octane. You're going to slide in behind him and get the high octane if you need high octane for your bike. Now, here's the trick. 90% of people that think they need high octane for their bike are wrong. And that is absolutely true. And when I was a young guy and we were doing a bunch of drag strip stuff, we thought octane was the answer for a real long time. In fact, I was stealing a lot of gallons of it from the airport. And what I learned was I'd bring the avgas in and my shit would run slower. Oh, wait, are you kidding me? I got my compression up 12.6 to 1, 12.7 to 1, and I'm running slower on the avgas. So I was running faster on 93 or 94 pump gas than I was running on 104 or 106 avgas or 100 octane avgas. I got 6 points of octane difference between the two. But remember, they don't measure octane for aviation as RM2. So now we're playing in a different field. The sign said I could go 100. Yeah, but you were in Canada, and that means 62 miles an hour. You're going to jail, right? So there's different, they got a different word for everything. So let's talk about two strokes. In two strokes in particular, you have to know what playing field you're on. So step one, know your compression. If you don't know your compression, you cannot buy your gas. If you don't know your compression, you are fucking throwing darts at an invisible dartboard. You may or may not hit it. You have no idea. So step one, get a good compression tester. Do it wide open throttle with at least 5 kicks. Now, that's if you have a kickstart. If you don't have a Kickstarter, freshly charged battery, go after that start button with a great degree of intensity, right?
And remember, kids, throttle open.
Throttle wide fucking open. If your throttle's not wide fucking open, you are not getting an accurate reading of your pressure. You're not getting the air.
You're limiting the input.
Right. So big deal, right? That's an important thing. Another weird thing, if you have a multi-cylinder bike, guess how many spark plugs you have in the holes? 3. If you take one spark plug out to do a compression check, what are the other 2 spark plugs doing? Slowing your shit down, right? You're building compression in 2 other cylinders you're not testing. So take the spark plugs out of those fucking other cylinders. You want to test each cylinder at a separate time, at a separate event. So you're going to test all 3 of your cylinders. You're going to write down the numbers. You're going to get a pressure. It's going to say 155 or 160 PSI.
You're going to take the coil out of the process because otherwise you're going to get a spark and explosion.
You're going to get resistance from the spark plug, which is going to slow down the piston you're testing.
Yep.
So when I would go to the track and I would see guys testing compression on a multi-cylinder bike, and they've got the 2 other spark plugs in the holes. Well, you just slowed down your entire crank.
Yep.
You're not going to get good speed on the cylinder you're testing. So if you think you've got a shitty cylinder, in the Kawasaki triples, the center cylinder runs really hot. It doesn't get a whole lot of air. So we jet it differently. We jet that center cylinder differently to accommodate and to kind of make up for the shitty heat that it's dealing with all the time. And whether the bike was going to be a drag bike, the bike was going to be a street bike, we'd kind of jet it differently based on how long we wanted that bike to run at its optimal thing. A 2-stroke motorcycle is going to be stupid fast right before it blows up. I mean, literally, if you're ever riding a 2-stroke and you're it's never gone faster than it has right now.
Or smoother.
Cover the clutch, right?
Yeah. That was the thing is the fastest bikes always run best right before they blow up.
I proved very easily on a Honda 250 2-stroke that I could lean that bike out and make crazy rear wheel horsepower, like 26, 27 rear wheel horsepower by just leaning the bike out. Lean the bike out. Got my exhaust gas temperatures up to about 1185, 1200 degrees. And then it was really magical until it went, and then my piston went out my tailpipe. Yeah. So it was great until it wasn't. So, heat makes power, that kind of thing. So anyway, for people that are talking vintage 2-strokes, if you care, if you've listened this long, know what your compression is, and remember that all you have to do to determine your compression ratio is divide your PSI. So you're going to use your compression gauge, and then you're going to divide your PSI number by your ambient air pressure. So it's usually 14.75. So 14.75, divide that into your 160 number, whatever your PSI is, then you'll get your compression ratio. That for that mix I just did is like 12.5 to 1, and at 12.5 to 1, hip pocket kind of thing, we're probably looking at a good 93 octane. Pump gas, 93 RM2. If you're at the racetrack or if you're at the airport and you're not being measured in RM2, then you might want to check your numbers to make sure you're not buying that. Cam 2, everybody buys Cam 2 gas, cans of Cam 2 gas. It's really deceptive because
I can smell that though right now.
You can't, because you're at the drag strip all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, that shit gets on you and you're just covered in Cam 2.
Oh, you are literally just covered in it. Remember that Cam 2 has an RON of 114. So they advertise it as 110 because its RON, its research octane number is 114. Its RM2 is 110. So people throw these numbers around, and they honestly, it's like when somebody says I'm putting a GY6 motor in my Ruckus. Dude, you've never seen a GY6 motor.
Well,
right?
and what people don't realize, do you remember my blue GS850 when I first got it? Yeah. It had some fucking person that was not me put some crazy cam. It was like you could smell that it was like high end Cam 2.
Oh yeah,
that bike would hardly fucking run. I was going crazy trying to get it to run until I drained the tank and put some fucking gas in it.
Yeah,
and then it fucking started up and ran great.
That bike is a terrible bike because you've got CV carbs on it.
Right. It was like there was no reason to put that gas in it.
Okay, Cam 2, you can buy it as like a 110, I think a 112, and then there's a super expensive 116. And then they also do these weirdo Cam 2s that are the 100 and the 104 are unleaded. That's what most people who are doing tuner shit, they're running. Keep in mind that 110, 112, 116, all that's just leaded. So if you have sensors in your vehicle, that leaded gas may just fuck them right over. And you might think I'm the hottest guy in the world. I'm going to go to the drag strip tonight. I'm going to do a couple of quarters. It's grudge night on Wednesday night. I'm going to go get myself a big jug of 116 Cam 2. There's lead in that. And if you have sensors in your vehicle, like you got Lambda sensors, you just fucked them.
Well, it's kind of funny when people get in, like, it doesn't matter what you're into, but like the race aspect of it, even though they're not really into the, like, learning the racing. And a lot of people always go with, if it's a bigger number, it's better.
Right.
And in racing, that doesn't necessarily work at
because
all.
again,
Vutera is better.
Yeah.
I promise you, there's a shit ton of guys that are making beautiful power right now in 85 octane.
Oh, yeah.
Because ethanol's magic, right? And ethanol's...
Well, if you, like turbocharging boost and stuff like that, you don't.
Yeah, we're not going to even get into turbocharging because that's a whole different world.
No, but you know, you reminded me of something. I wanted to bring it up before because I was like last week old when I found out about a fucking top dead center whistle. I didn't know about this fucking thing, and I'm like, if I didn't know about it, other people didn't know about it. No, Justin pulled one out at work because
Wait.
What?
Now you have brought up something.
Okay.
Share with the class what this is.
Right.
I'm getting to it. So that's what I'm saying. So Justin at work, we were building this LS for this project we're working on. And so I'm moving the crank and we're dial bore gauging the fucking bell housing, right? So I'm like fucking moving the crank and it gets to the end, I hear I'm like, what the fuck was that?
TDC whistle.
He goes, yeah, TDC whistle. I'm like, what? And he says it again, and I look, and it's a little hose connected thing. I'm like, do you know how much time this could have saved my life if I'd known that anybody would have told me about this fucking thing? So, telling you guys, if you don't know what a top dead center whistle is, and you do any of this shit,
go for it.
Throw it up. So TDC whistles are hilarious. For people that can't get to their spark plug holes, if you can't get to where the spark plug holes go, and because, you know, there's TDC for a lot of things, stick a fucking, you know, don't stick a screwdriver down there, it's made of metal, you know, popsicle stick, whatever you got, bamboo, whatever, drop it down the hole, you know, plastic straw from Wendy's works fine. And you got to turn the motor over. When you're timing your motor, you got to know intake and exhaust, right? So you got to make sure you're timing it for the intake stroke and the exhaust stroke when you're doing your valve timing. So you need to know when the motor is going to be compressing and when it's going to be a suck, squeeze, bang, and blow, right? So we need to know when that's all happening. So some genius came up with a long time ago, and I swear to God, my grandfather used to take the hose off the compression meter. So he'd take the head off the compression meter because they're just quick disconnects.
That's what they did, and then
he'd stick his thumb over it, and he'd crank the motor slowly.
Same thing,
right? And he'd feel it on his thumb. And as soon as it stopped pressing against his thumb, well, he knew he was
That was
TDC,
it.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And yay, so simple, so easy, so great. And so, yeah, the TDC thing, because again, the valves are only closed on the compression stroke.
Right.
So the valves are only closed on the compression stroke. So if you're in the scavenging stroke, so if you're in the, after the bang stroke, then the whistle won't blow.
Nope.
Right. So it's hilarious, but it's
fucking so functional. It's one of these things that you're like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe I didn't know this existed.
Simple that
I will make you cry.
Yeah.
I used to sink my carburetors with popsicle sticks. I used to literally, it's according to the fucking manual on a rack of 3 carbs for the H2 to get down and dirty, just making sure the slides are all going at the same time. You drop popsicle sticks in that bitch, take the filters off, pop popsicles, and then look at it and watch with your eyeballs and watch to make sure they're all lifting at the exact same time.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
then you can do the adjusters on your slides to make sure they're all going up and down at the same time.
Dave King asked, how close or how accurate is it? When you hear it, it's fucking crazy. The one that we had, you can hear the rise. So it goes
like a little.
And then when it gets there, just for a split second, it goes, and then as soon as like it's going down, then it goes, and then it's gone.
The valve opens.
Keep in mind.
Yeah, but you get you actually get the peak of the sound, so you know right where it is.
Because when it's going up, it's blowing out of the spark plug hole, but when it's going back down, it's sucking through the whistle back into the hole.
So the lobe on the cam. So when you're doing big V8 motors and everything else, we're talking about that cam timing.
That's freaking brilliant.
And the dwell on the cam. So we're talking about the dwell on the cam, and what that is you're going to build that compression up, and that's why you see they sell them in sets. You can buy a whack of them.
Yeah.
So you can buy this one. This particular set is 6 of them for $12.95, and they're usually different colors. And now here's the trick. Do not put all 6 of them in your motor at one time.
It's a freaking calliope at that point.
It sounds hilarious.
You get a half mask, you become the Phantom of the Garage.
It sounds hilarious. And I am going to give you an old time tuner trick. The old time tuner trick is you already own a compression gauge. I hope you already own a compression gauge, and not one of those ones that just has a little rubber dick on the end of it. You just hold real tight.
Yeah.
Because those work to a degree, but you should get the ones that thread in.
Yeah.
You should get a compression gauge that threads in. Take the head off of it. It'll have a little dump off valve at the top that'll be built into your gauge. You're taking that away too. And what you're going to do is, this is going to sound fucking so dumb, but you're going to put the hose in your mouth on your motorcycle. You're going to put your hose in your mouth because your mouth detects that vacuum. Yeah. You know the difference between sucking and blowing.
Yeah.
And if it tastes like a penny, you got it in the wrong hole.
In your mouth, right? And so I know it sounds stupid, but I would just stick the thing in my mouth rather than put my thumb over it or whatever.
That's the whole thing.
You can detect minute pressure.
What people don't realize is that a cylinder and piston literally is an air compressor.
It's an air compressor.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's either going to blow out or pull in.
Right.
That's
and
the funniest.
when you go from push out to pull in, that's the difference.
I'd hold the thing on my lip and I'd kick it over, and because I didn't have any spark plugs in, sometimes because of the stator. So sometimes because of the flywheel in the stator, there's magnetism that pulls it to the next phase.
Yeah. Right.
So you're like, okay, great. I'm holding the thing against my lip, and then it grabs a magnet and it pulls it through, and it like sucks my lip in. I get a little tiny lip hickey, right? Because it was just like I could detect it better when it was going from sucking to stopping sucking. It just was better. It just put the damn thing in my mouth and went for it.
John's more familiar with just the sucking aspect.
Yeah, well,
not
again,
sucking.
Cinch is more familiar with the swallowing aspect.
So since Smith isn't here, I feel like I need to step in here. You ready?
Are you gonna tell us the joke?
My penis used to be in the Guinness Book of World's Records, but when the librarian asked me to take it out, and then she told me to leave the building.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
My penis isn't really that long, but let's just say I've got a girth certificate.
Hey, what's the difference between a bad joke and a good joke? Timing.
Yes, exactly. What's the difference between a good joke and a bad timing?
Timing.
Okay, we wanted to talk today about the Royal Enfield Bear 650. Bear.
Hey, wait, what's that game we used to play at band camp?
Do you want me to tell them?
You should tell them.
Okay, here's what you do. Get a little tiny firecracker, little ladyfinger firecracker. You know, they're cheap. You get a bunch of them. You can't buy one. They come in like thousands, right? They come in thousands. So you get a little ladyfinger firecracker, and then you take your beer can, and you take the beer can, you cut it in half, right? So you cut the beer can in half. And you cut the beer can in half and you flip it upside down. And if you look at the bottom of your beer can, it's a concave surface, right? It's a concave surface. and you just slightly, very lightly put the bottom of the beer can, sleeve it down over top of the beer can, and you will notice you have a much shorter beer can now, right? But you have a hole in the bottom. Well, that hole is where the firecracker goes. So you put the firecracker in the hole and leave the little wick sticking out the bottom. And then you put it down on the ground and you look at that empty space, that concave area that used to be the bottom of your beer can. And you're like, what would go great there? A handful of gummy bears. So you take a handful of gummy bears and you stick a handful of gummy bears into that beautiful concave divot on the bottom of the beer can. And then you light the firecracker. And when you light the firecracker, those little bears lose their mind. They go 75, 80 feet up in the air. And when they jump up in the air, they go further than you think they'll go. There's a beautiful shotgun effect of gummy bears. And it's so celebratory that you just feel like you have to catch one in your mouth.
But they don't go. When I first saw that, I'm like, oh, this shit's going like fucking 100 yards away.
No,
they only it disperses like in a 50-foot.
So if you have 12 of your friends standing in a tight circle and you yell the word bear and you light the fuse, and once the fuse is lit, you stand back and yell bear. And then it goes bang, and it pops the bottom of the beer can up, and these like a dozen gummy bears go into the air.
It rains gummy bears.
It rains gummy bears, but the idea is you have to catch one in your mouth.
Right.
The problem is you're looking at the bears.
But I would alert people around that you're playing this game, because at some situations, if you yell bear, you might get more attention than you want.
Also,
hey, you know what? Sean's not here, and we
I'm
yell bear.
just
saying, some people.
So the correct technique for bear is that when the bears launch, you eyeball a bear, you figure the bear you're going to go for, and then you put your hand in front of your face and you try to catch it in your mouth. But invariably, people forget to put their hand out. And when they forget to put their hand out, they run into each other with their mouth agape.
Oh, with teeth just
with their teeth out.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a cut. I literally have a scar on the back of my head where I bled for like a day because Mark Vermillion's teeth went in the back of my head playing bear. And it's the dumbest thing.
It is.
And you're just totally drunk and having a great time. But you're like, bear. And people get super excited about it. And then I'm like, I got this bear lined up. And I'm like, I got it. And in the middle of me gotten it, I just feel somebody's teeth go into my skull. It was pretty bad. Again, dumb games we do when we're drunk.
Yeah. Now we want a t-shirt cannon that shoots bears.
Right. Bear. Okay. So today we want to talk about the Royal Enfield Bear 650. The Bear 650. Does anybody know how the Royal Enfield Bear got its name?
Bear. They shot a bunch of gummy bears into space and...
No, I remember hearing, God damn it, I forgot. I read it. Damn brain.
It's okay.
But I know I did read an article.
You have failed me again, brain.
But this little bike is getting some mileage. I'll tell you that. So we'll get to that. But I did read that.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that
because it's a podcast. It's what we do. We talk about shit. So the whole idea, way back in the year of our Lord 1960, give or take, they did a Big Bear Run, and the Big Bear Run was a California motorcycle rally. And the California motorcycle rally, this was a thing for the motorcycles of the day. And the basic concept was bring what you got, run what you brung, go out, and we're going to set up a rally, and all these motorcycles are going to go out and chase each other around in the woods, right? It's going to be super fun and great and awesome. And Eddie Mulder in 1960, Eddie Mulder won the Big Bear Run, and that's it. And so, in case you don't know, nostalgia gets mileage.
Oh yeah,
Steve McQueen, whatever you got, nostalgia.
Yeah,
nostalgia.
People will apparently pay a lot of money for a Steve McQueen Triumph.
If your motorcycle ever won anything, most likely to implode, you can cash that in.
I laugh at this, and we were previously talking about the Moto Morini 6.5 outside and how much it would cost if we bought them, and I was like, yeah, I really missed that boat. So you're right. Nostalgia is a thing.
So I'm going to read you the copy.
Okay.
Try not to puke. Okay.
Oh God.
This is the official Royal Enfield copy that is the basis of the Bear. Okay.
Okay.
When you got out on the track, the green flag dropped and the bullshit stopped. Eddie Mulder, a.k.a. Fast Eddie, 1960 Big Bear Run champion. Isolation from reality, flagrant audacity, complete disregard for the outcome, and listening to the gut. This best describes the mindset of motorcycle racers and is certainly the perfect description for the 16-year-old rookie from the Checkers Motorcycle Club, Eddie Mulder, a.k.a. Fast Eddie, who in 1960 became, and till this date remains, the youngest champion to tame the brutal Californian desert race, the Big Bear Run. In 1960, the unforgiving Mojave Desert served as the backdrop for the Big Bear Run, the biggest, baddest race the Californian desert ever witnessed, with no rules, roads, or tech, and only cacti and coyotes for spectators, alongside 765 other riders. Eddie Mulder shocked the racing world as he surged first across the line in 4 hours and 21 minutes, igniting a legacy that reverberates through the ages astride his 500cc Royal Enfield Fury and fueled by instinct, unwavering determination, and guts. Eddie was one among only 197 who made it to the end of the finish line. When asked about what he thought was the turning point for him in the race, Eddie Mulder says, "I was in 13th place when I lost control and took a tumble down a ravine. I hauled up the bike, inspected the damage. The handlebars were bent right back. The header pipe had wrenched out of the cylinder head, and one shock absorber was busted. I heaved the bars into shape and kicked the header pipe back into place. Couldn't do anything about the broken shock absorber, so I rode the rest of the race on just one. 64 years later, that fearless spirit has sparked the inspiration for a motorcycle that embodies that indomitable grit and determination in its soul. The new Royal Enfield Bear 650, a stylish and versatile scrambler designed for riders who trust their instinct and stand out from the rest. The Bear 650 is more than just a motorcycle. It's a journey, a statement, and a reminder to follow your gut. With its versatile capabilities, robust engineering, and distinct scrambler aesthetic, the Bear 650 is poised to redefine the riding experience for scramblerers across the globe, inviting them to forge their own path, one ride at a time.
This is. Not
I have never wanted a bike so much in my life. Oh my God, it sounds amazing. This is amazing. Who is this guy? Is he 109 now? Like, I don't know this guy.
This is not the same as the Big Bear Run in San Francisco, by the way.
Now,
I'm kidding.
I'm going to read you the slightly more honest statement, also by Royal Enfield.
We slap knobbies on it.
In gut we trust, and the gut roars. Oh, God.
They said that?
Oh, bother. Ooh. Then it says, the Bear 650 is fueled by gut feel and powered by Royal Enfields. By the way, I've read a lot of things in my life, and I've never read the word gut so many times in a particular piece, and it is both in regular, correct lowercase application, and then also in all caps, and then also in unnecessary capitalization, like Donald Trump style. It's several points during this piece. Now, Royal Enfield's globally renowned 650 twin platform, questionable. Known for its smooth performance and character, the engine delivers a robust 47 horsepower and a maximum torque of 56 Newton meters, which increases the mid-range punch on the Bear 650s compared to other twin models. Okay, here's the thing I have to tell folks. If your 650cc motorcycle is producing less than 50 horsepower, is advertising 47 horsepower at the crank, I don't know what that's going to be at the rear wheel. But I have ridden the the Royal Enfield 650. I can tell you that the Moto Morini 650 is 61 horsepower. I can promise you only that maybe you won't be winning a whole lot of races on the Bear. Maybe save yourself a little embarrassment by not entering too many races on the Bear. I appreciate that in 1960, a 17-year-old did win a particular race whilst riding a 500cc, which, by the way, in 1960 would have at best been a 500cc with a pre-unit motor and transmission not joined to each other by anything other than a piece of chain. Maybe they're taking one event, one spectacular incident, one thing, and marketing an entire motorcycle on it.
John's bike makes 66 to 70 horsepower with 650 cc's.
Yes.
And reliably, too.
Yes.
He can't defend himself. He's not
sleeping. So and it's a $6,849 bike, so it's $6,900 plus. So $6,900 for that particular motorcycle. It's great. Like, I'm not trying to yuck your yum. That's cool. If you're totally into it and you're rocking the world and you want to have, that, you're going to have a great time. It's going to be a good time. You're going to dig it. It is, though.
If you're into bears, this is your bear.
He says, sounds like they put more money into review than the bike. Yeah, they spent more money into marketing than design.
Well, what they did do was they took their Interceptor 650 and they put some moderately knobby tires on it. You can throw the picture up so the people at home can see it. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not what I would call a purpose-built desert sled. No. This is Ducati Desert X. This is not. Right.
That's a fire road, cruising down the fire road.
Well, this is as scrambler as the 1200cc BMW I rode it on today. Right.
This is as scrambler as the G400C that you guys made into a scrambler
that we made into
5 years ago or whatever.
Right. That actually did have one thing this doesn't, and that is it had ground clearance because our exhaust wasn't down low.
Right.
Our exhaust was up high. So just for some comparison analysis, because what the fuck, we can do that here. I took a look at another 650, which has over 60 horsepower, and that would be the Moto Morini SCR Trek. Yeah, we sell them. So $1,500 off in Moto Morini money, which is being offered currently for the SCR Trek, means that you can, in fact, put this here motorcycle in your driveway for $5,999. Well, last time I checked, $5,999 was considerably less than $6,999.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's $1,000 less. But would you like to know that for that SCR Trek package, you also get all of the items seen here? So for $1,000 less than the Bear, you get saddlebags times 2, top case times 1, rear luggage rack, cowl or crash bars, engine guards, whatever you want to call those, number plate above the front headlight. Take a look at what's on that motorcycle. You get a whole lot of stuff as part of that package.
But here's the thing the picture doesn't show, because I saw this bike at the AIM show, and stuff, is that it still looks very 2D here, and it could be like kind of whatever. But when you see it in person, it's a hefty, like, it looks like it's been around for a while. You know what I mean? Like it's
been around for a while.
Not in a bad way. I'm saying like it's like it's been refined.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So there's a better picture of it.
Every time I walk past the blue one in the showroom, and it's not the Trek model.
It is the Trek model.
It is the Trek model.
Yeah.
Every time I walk past it, it's like, yeah, no, dude, I'm a motorcycle.
So I understand that Royal Enfield's selling point. Royal Enfield's selling point is they are cheaper than everything else on the planet. I get that.
And they're not.
Their strong suit. But currently, Moto Morini has this motorcycle. Not like some custom thing. Not something that you can't lay your hands on.
No.
Right.
Something that's at my dealership right now. And for $1,000 less money, you're getting over $1,000 more in accessories and stuff that you might want to buy anyway. You're still getting the upside down shocks. You're still getting all that cool shit. But you're also getting, curiously enough, you're getting twice as many front brakes. Okay? So you're going from a single rotor on the front to 2 rotors on the front, right? With the Royal Enfield, you are missing out on a lot of the items that are standard, including different traction control modes, including different ride modes, and a 3-year warranty on the Moto Morini.
We have an Interceptor that somebody traded in.
We do.
On the other side of the room.
Rode the hell out of it, yeah.
And I look at that, and then I look at the SCR.
Right.
And the SCR is a better bike. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Physically, looking at it as a mechanic, it's a more complete motorcycle.
Sure.
Look at the screen. It looks like Tom has the deck as a gas mask.
It does. The sombrero on there is quite something.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like to tell people is like, okay, I get the marketing hype. That's totally fine. I understand. In fact, they're even doing like a limited edition. There's no sleeping. Exactly.
His boots are on, Phil.
Right, his boots are on.
Yeah.
Bring on the Sharpie. And look,
Fucking try it.
and so my ultimate thing is, I'm not trying to shit all over Royal Enfield. What Royal Enfield has done is Royal Enfield has made some very affordable motorcycles that people can buy because of Indian manufacturing. What is funny, though, is when you tie all of this motorcycle line into one event that one guy entered one time when he was 17 years old.
That nobody, like, here's the thing.
Nobody knows.
Well, people don't understand.
That was a clusterfuck. When you have 497 people entering a race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Right.
There's people that still haven't been seen.
If I've been in the race, it's a clusterfuck.
They went to the 1967. They went to the 1960 Big Bear Run, and they've never come home. Right. Yeah. That is better than like Mint 400 Hunter S. Thompson shit. Like that is truly. We're just going to take a bunch of savages and release them in the desert, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, because there wasn't like a lot of rules or
the fact they just said there's no rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, if you can think about the shenanigans that people might be up to, you're like, yeah, that could be weird.
Here, let's think about something though, okay?
Right.
I think some of these companies have to realize something because like I didn't realize it until recently. Yeah. But they're talking about like bringing nostalgia for new products on things that can ride off road and stuff. But the nostalgia, the people who would remember that dude are 80.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, or 100.
They're not. The event happened. The event that happened over 65 years ago.
Right.
So that 17-year-old is now 87 years old.
That's my point.
Years old,
so
right?
My point is that nostalgia right now
only works while the people are alive to remember.
Yeah, like nostalgia, hot nostalgia right now is from 94.
Right.
Yeah.
And every 84-year-old guy who comes into my shop that's like dripping with nostalgia ain't buying shit.
Right.
He's not qualified to buy a 10-year-old magazine.
No.
Right? He's in my shop, and there's always a younger person standing next to him that's apologizing with their eyes.
Do you remember the 86 and 88 Pontiac, Firebirds? Not even the Trans Ams, the Firebirds. You couldn't trip over. You couldn't not trip over one in Parma.
Yeah. The 6 or 4-cylinder, whatever, underpowered and unique motor was in there to beat emissions. Yeah, right.
I miss analog porn.
Those are now coming back. You know what I'm saying? That's what people are putting. They're sinking money into. Like 5 years ago, you could just like ask a crackhead if he'd like a pack of cigarettes and come back with 2 of those.
Yeah.
And now they're getting money for those. Now.
50 years ago, they didn't even have crackheads.
Cooler than ice is the nostalgia we're looking at now.
Oh my God.
Cooler than ice.
Oh yeah,
91.
The fluorescent jigs
or biker boys. So the fact that they're bringing up something...
Scepter.
If you want to throw this picture up, I want to throw this picture up for the people at home. This is the actual...
Because like that, oh, you remember when Steve McQueen was in movies? No, I'm not fucking 90.
I do remember when Steve McQueen was in movies.
On reruns on fucking TMC.
The point would be...
Or TCM. Or
by the time Steve McQueen was in movies, when I was watching them, he was wearing butterfly collars, polyester pants, right? And... That's not what I want to celebrate.
Do you remember Thin Elvis? No, I don't fucking know Thin Elvis. I knew Fat Elvis from Vegas.
Just going to go back to the leaded gas thing. I'm going to say that a lot of things really sucked in the mid-70s.
Yeah, they're called the Cars.
We had a 454...
No, they're called Cars because the Cars were actually pretty cool.
We had a 454 cubic inch motor in our Olds Cutlass.
No, I remember my mom's...
173 horsepower.
My mom's Thunderbird was fucking amazing. It was that emerald green with a white vinyl top, and it did like 0 to 60 in like 4 days.
And by the way, that Olds Cutlass we had with the 454 and the 173 horsepower, it got like 8 miles per gallon.
Oh, no.
In the custom cruiser wagon configuration. I don't celebrate that era as being like, it was great. It was awesome. It wasn't great. It wasn't awesome. The thing had a power window on the back of the station wagon. The power window went up into the roof and the power tailgate went down into the floor. That is genius. But it only worked for about 6 weeks after you bought the car. And then it failed because it operated on some unique, eclectic
as weird as it sounds,
system.
At our collective ages, we're all basically grandparents.
Yes.
Like we're your great grandpa.
Speak for yourself, man.
Right,
I am
exactly,
a young fellow.
Yeah. I'm still doing push-ups
I think I'm still
morning.
younger than you are. But the point being, and Dave King brings up the 92 IROC.
Oh, the
yeah.
International Race of Champions.
International Race
That's
of
the
Champions.
fucking national car of Menor, Ohio.
It is, and we were joking like the RS stood for Rally Rust, or Rusty Sport, and then the Iraq was like the Iraq attack, the Iraq.
What did they call the the blinds that people put all over the back window?
Louvers. They were putting louvers on everything.
I kept calling them blinds. I'm like, those
They had
are
louvers
cool
on the
blinds.
side windows.
I actually saw
like
something
louvers.
a few years ago, recently, a new car that had louvers on the back, and I'm like, wow, they're bringing that shit back.
It's overdue, Tom.
It is.
It's overdue.
JNCOs and fucking
you know what?
the shirt with the
We're bringing
Technicolor.
louvers back.
Just bust out your 3D
You're gonna
printer.
put them on the back.
the Varicolor fucking shirts and shit
Go
that
ahead.
change heat, with the heat.
Take it to the bridge.
I did see like a couple of years ago, Hypercolor came back.
Hypercolor.
Dude,
Hypercolor
if
came
Zeke
back for a hot
Cavarici
minute.
comes back, I'm in. That sucks your gut in. You can put them pants up
I
to
want
about
metallic
here.
teal paint to
Hey,
come
you know
back.
what? You know what the best part is? We've got this far and we haven't talked about fucking Harley.
No,
Fuck them guys.
Well, I mean, I just think it's funny that at this point, we talked about it last week. We spoke briefly about how there's a investor group that decides that despite not being the board, they want to be able to pick the CEO. And it's a weird thing with corporation, articles of incorporation and the way that you set up your business. When you set your business up, you decide who's going to make the decisions for your business. In most cases, there's a board. My company has a board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a board.
Yeah, Renee gets all the power.
No,
No?
not at all.
No, it's still Renee.
Not at all.
No, I
So
don't buy
we
that.
do have a board. We do have a board, and it's a very funny thing. But it's like in Harley-Davidson, I'm absolutely certain they have a board. What's problematic though is a group of people who happen to own about 9% of the stock have now appointed themselves as being more powerful than the board. And they've said, we don't care what the board wants, because when the current CEO basically replaces himself with the underling of the current CEO, and he says, I'm just going to retire, right? Because y'all are just weird.
Fuck y'all, I'm out.
Right, fuck y'all, I'm out. Right, I've collected enough money now. I can leave y'all dumbasses. I don't need to buy back black and orange t-shirts anymore, right? And when he can play that game and say like, it's been a good run, but it's over now, and he's out, that's fine. And then they say, okay,
Wait, we're talking about nostalgia. Audi 5000.
Well, yes, 5,000 G. And when the guy says, okay, well, we've got a new guy we're going to appoint, and then the investment group, who's not the board, says, we don't approve of that guy. Well, that's great. It'd be awesome if you were on the board, but you're not. So since you're not on the board, y'all don't get to pick.
How much does a hat with Harley across the front cost that you can fuck?
But I mean, what really comes down, and I don't want to be too much of a cock about this shit, but the reason that these articles of incorporation exist, the reason that company dynamics are set up to say, these are the people that we trust enough who've been elected in positions to say where this company is headed. You cannot simply say that, okay, we are XYZ investment group, and through our, let's just say our 1,200 shareholders we control 9% of the company's value. That's great. You control 9% of the company's value. And honestly, if you controlled 40% of the company's value, it still doesn't matter. You're not on the fucking board. So get on the board or shut the fuck up. Petition, work, try to get on the fucking board. But if you're not on the board, you got nothing to say. And if you're not on the board of your homeowners association, they can fuck with you for what color your camper is or their third boat that they can see from the street. You want to change that, get on the board. Figure out how to get on the board. But simply going in there and saying, well, we own 9% of your stock, therefore we should be able to pick the CEO. I don't know, dude. It doesn't fucking work that way. Right. Because in a corporation, they've said we have a board and the board decides what we're going to do with our money. You guys have 9% of the stock. Last time I checked, 9% is not a majority. So piss right the fuck off. A board decides what the company does. If the CEO makes decisions that are unpopular, the board can get rid of the CEO. We've seen that happen with a great number of companies we deal with. Mm-hmm. The board loses trust, loses confidence in the CEO, and they have a decision, they get rid of the CEO. It's oftentimes violent and uncool, and it's heartbreaking when it happens, but it fucking happens. When you cede your power as the sole proprietor to a board, guess what you've done? You've said, I was once the sole proprietor. I was God. I decided where this company went and what it did. But when you say we're going to have a board now so that we can give investors, why you have a board is so that you give investors confidence that you're not being run by a fucking lunatic who's just going to do crazy batshit stuff. We know about that. So when you have a board, you're giving confidence to investors to say, we're not going to do crazy lunatic batshit stuff because we got a bunch of people that are trusted in the industry that are going to keep us on the straight and narrow so that your money and your investments aren't spent foolishly. When you look at a board, the board says, yeah, the CEO's got to go for the good of the shareholders. Well, now the board, who gets to pick the next CEO or gets to say what the company does, is now somehow being bullied by a group, an investment group that owns 9% of the company.
Hey,
it's fucking weird.
That guy just fell off a building. He smashed himself on the sidewalk. Oh, shit. Is he all right? 9% of him is going to be all right.
Yes.
So
9% of him is going to be just fine.
So what does that leave him? He's fucking dead.
He's fucked, dude.
No power, dude.
Yeah, he's
sorry.
fucked. He's out. So ultimately, this is this argument where it's like, I'm a shareholder. I'm in a group of shareholders. These guys couldn't get on the board, so they thought that if they got enough shareholders in one place, they could overpower the board. Well, you're not. I hate to be that way. And as a guy who does own Harley-Davidson stock, if Harley-Davidson's board members yield to this investment group, I'm going to be done with my stock because clearly they are not doing what I asked them to do, which is control the company as responsible people.
Right.
If the board members go, well, you know, they are 9% of the company, we should do what they want. Some idiot who's shooting the fuck out of his Harley-Davidson with machine guns because Harley-Davidson has a DEI policy that, by the way, is the legal mandated rule in all companies in the United States that says you're not allowed to not hire somebody because they're handicapped or what have you, right? Which are very good laws, by the way, that you're not supposed to say, well, we would have hired Timmy, but he's black, so we didn't hire Timmy. Well, that's bullshit. Oh, well, then that's DEI. No, it's not DEI. It's fucking equal rights, right? It's called letting people have jobs. Mm-hmm. And if Harley has a part of their company that says we want to make sure that we are playing by the rules of hiring and firing people so we don't get our asses sued into oblivion, that's not DEI. That's just doing what companies are supposed to do. That happens at Ford, but it also happens at Sturm fucking Ruger. It happens at Smith & Wesson. It happens at Glock. That's what happens. If you love your guns and you think that you're shooting up your Harley-Davidson with your guns, the companies that built your guns, they have those rules too. Mm-hmm. They can't say we're not hiring Rebecca because she's got one leg shorter than the other and her eye doesn't look straight down the road, right? You can't say that's why you're not hiring Rebecca. Mm-hmm. You can say she's not qualified for the job, but you can't say that her physical abilities preclude her from being in the workplace because you don't think she's cool enough. Or if you fire her because of that situation, then you're fucked, right? So that's not just Harley-Davidson. That's every fucking company that you're going to work for. And if you work for a company that doesn't have that, you work for a very small company. I'm in that boat. So if you're going to say we're going to shoot up our Harley-Davidsons and we're going to get rid of our CEO because he's too fucking woke, dude, you're just hating on people. You're literally insecure about your own manhood. You're insecure about who you are, and you are looking for somebody to unleash on because you think you lost your job because you weren't diverse enough or what have you. I totally disagree. Every time I've met somebody who hates on somebody because of their, they're an immigrant or their skin color or their sexual orientation, every time I've met somebody that says that, I see a giant well of self-loathing inside of that person, a huge sense of inadequacy. If you love your child and your child says that I am gay or I am trans or I am bi or what have you, you support your child. They are your child, regardless of their decisions. And if somebody fires your child because of those decisions, you're going to be straight up pissed off at those people.
I just can't believe, have these people not figured out that this is it? We're only here for here.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get one time.
And you're wasting all this fucking time worrying about all this shit, man. It's fuck, let people live. That's right. Just let people live. Let them live.
Why are you so good that you get to decide how somebody else lives?
Yeah, man.
I mean, how great are you? How important are you to this whole fucking operation that you can hold judgment on anybody else's behavior?
The funny part is I didn't realize until I was about 26.
Yeah.
that technically I was, I could be actually, I technically am a DEI hire because I'm an Appalachian.
There you go.
That is not, and that's not a joke.
Okay.
Like,
no,
legitimately,
there's
there
good
are
reason
things
for that.
that
He's
say
a tribal Appalachian.
I'm literally considered.
There's a reason they needed to be a protected species.
It was funny because until I moved to Baltimore, I didn't, because there's a art college in Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay.
Big, huge art college, and they have scholarships for Appalachians. OSU scholarships for Appalachians. Yeah. Like there's this entire, I'm a protected species. It's really weird, but it's all this DEI bullshit.
They also have scholarships for people who play the accordion.
Exactly.
Right. They also have people who, they have scholarships
but
for
Phil,
people that
technically
do
you are a DEI. I'm a DEI hire by
things. Oh no, you're enough on the spectrum. Anybody would walk in and just be like, yeah,
no,
okay,
we realize
we don't need to see his papers. We're cool enough. Sleepy, can you talk us about how people, GP, Moto GP, recent YouTube videos talking about how it is impossible for Johnny, I ride motorcycles really fast, to become a GP racer, and how just impossible that is to do.
Oh yeah.
Speed Channel did a beautiful write-up on it saying like, you might be the hot shit in town, but you are not going to end up on a GP ride because of ... Right. And then you discovered something else. Tell us a wee bit about this awesome
this all happened.
Fast track, if you will, into getting into MotoGP.
Yeah, well, this is cool. And I want to do a shout out to this company called Moto Garage. They're the people that carry the Metzler track day slicks. Mm-hmm. So I bought my Metzler track day slicks and I got them. And in the package was the old number 69 here on my hat, a tribute to Nicky Hayden, right?
Baby.
And so my heart got all squishy because I was like, that's the last American that was in MotoGP that won, just
Nicky. We all love Nicky.
Love the guy, right?
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking about that. And then that video is on YouTube and you watch that and it's like, wow, there really is no way to get there. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this article and it's like, I pulled it up and was looking at it, but Moto America, one of my favorite, like I've been wearing the shirt. I love it. It's like, to me, it's bringing back AMA Superbike from back in the day. So I'm all in, I'm watching them, I'm doing it, the whole thing. So it's really interesting to hear that they're doing a things, the Moto America Talent Cup.
Right.
And so they're replacing the Junior Cup with the Talent Cup. And the cool part about this is it's certified worldwide Road to MotoGP program.
Right.
So it's going to be sanctioned and certified by MotoGP. So if these kids do the right things and they win and stuff, they'll have opportunities to hopefully someday go and be able to race at MotoGP.
Nice.
Which, that's awesome. Because that's it. Nicky Hayden's the last American that's done anything in that fucking circuit forever. So it's really going to be neat to see some of these little dirt track kids and stuff that are just amazing already at 12 and stuff, getting the opportunities to go and start ripping on these
11
bikes.
years ago, I was lucky enough to go to a race at Gateway Speedway in St. Louis where they had the Red Bull Cup, right? And so they had the kids on the Red Bull 390s, young guys, and they're out, young kids are out on these Red Bull 390s and they're kicking ass out there. And that Red Bull Cup gave them an outlet in the United States to go out and race. And it was super fun, super cool. And because everybody's racing spec class bikes, right? It's very affordable.
But this is what's interesting. So this thing is, where is it? So they're racing on a spec called the Kramer Apex 350.
Correct.
It uses a KTM 350 motor, but apparently it's going to be spec the fuck out. So they're used to racing on badass, good machines so when they actually would ever get to MotoGP, they'd feel a natural progression.
And when you think about all the Honda two-stroke 125s and two-stroke 250s that were the lifeblood of MotoGP racing that got it all going, we're talking about motorcycles. Yeah, they were kicking around 25 horsepower, 30 horsepower, right? Lightweight, very skinny, very light, very easy to ride. I had many friends that got into that class and raced that way, and as both as young people and also as adults trying to get back into it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those two-strokes were alive and well. And so Kramer, if you want to throw the thing up, Kramer's launching this bike for $22,000. So this is going to be mid-February of 2025. Wait, that happened.
Yeah.
Registration for the wait list, the APX 350 MAs. They're doing it on their website, Kramer Motorcycles USA. Now, the one thing that I take a wee bit of concern with is that is a bespoke race bike.
But I think what they're going to do is
$22,495.
But I think
that is kind of pricey.
But I think the way they do it is, I think there's going to be rides. Like these are for kids.
Oh, there's going to definitely be rides.
That's what I'm saying. So there's
a
kids,
reason that fucker is white.
Right.
And there's plenty of room for sponsorship on
Yeah, this is going to be for kids that are like regional champions in whatever little league they're in. Yeah. I think there's going to be teams of people that are pulling those kids in, giving them rides. And I'm sure it's going to probably be the bigger manufacturers at some point, maybe under different names, but as farm teams. You know what I'm saying? You look
at the copy, it just immediately says fitted with Dunlop tires. Okay, there you know. Okay, we just found the tire sponsor, right? So we just figured out who the tire sponsor is. Yay, that's great. This is cool because Red Bull, this gets people ready for Red Bull's Rookies Cups. It gets them ready for FIM Moto 3. It's really a really, really good place that gets people into that chain or that ladder, right? It gets them the first rung on their ladder because, it's fun to go out and do mini motos. It's fun to go out and do YSR kind of stuff and all those small stuff. But none of that stuff is a gateway to MotoGP.
Well, and not only that, but think about this. So, like, okay, if your kid wants to be a fucking brain surgeon, and like because it's basically equivalent, like the chances of being either one of these two things, right? So, if your kid wants to be a top level brain surgeon, you could be like, okay, you're in 6th grade now. You've shown us you've made 1 million straight A's to this point. Let's sit down and figure out your path and what we need to do as a family to get you to fucking being a brain surgeon.
Absolutely.
Well, until they come out with stuff like this, you could have the most talented fucking kid in the world that's like, destroying everybody at his age. And you're like, this kid could be the next MotoGP kid. But right now, there's no, like, you can't sit down and study a way to get there. There was no way for these kids to just be like, well, if I do this, then I'll get to do this. And if I do this, I'll get to do this. So it's really neat that they're doing this because now it gives the kids a goal, a path. They can train in a certain way to do something to get, it's a path. They needed the path, and this is going to let that happen. I'm kind of pumped about it, man.
A lot of European racers who end up in MotoGP actually started on scooters in the 70cc class, 50cc classes. There's a ridiculous follow through. It's very easy to establish an arc there because that scooter racing is so accessible. So it's so accessible to the 9-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids as they move up, and then they just naturally slide from that 70cc automatic scooter. They slide into a 125cc geared CR, based racing motorcycle, and you see that pathway. But that pathway doesn't exist in our country.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is we never developed a passion for sub 125, sub 250.
But it is getting
and scooters, really in Europe especially.
I'm excited to see all these karting tracks starting to open up because the karting tracks are definitely going to allow like the Ovali 190s and stuff like that.
Well, mini moto.
Yeah.
Mini moto in general. There's so much there. When you look at Valentino Rossi, when you look at Marcus Simoncelli, Zohan Zarco, these are all people that got regional championships on 70cc scooters when they were little kids or teenagers. And that's one of those very interesting things to see. The transition was there were already sponsors for them with Repsol. There were already sponsors for them.
Then there was countries cheering for them.
That slid them right onto the 125.
Oh, I'm watching because I follow a lot. It's weird. I follow a lot of Asian racing, and it's insane what because you're talking about F1 pit times.
Yeah,
for scooters, changing guys, changing tires, changing all this stuff.
Yeah, and
they take it as serious as we take NASCAR or anything else.
Well, I think it's funny that Marc Marquez, he's one of those guys that he will tell you in his interviews about how scooter racing is really important because getting people on that step, right, and making that move, it's definitely a thing that getting people started is really important.
The basic of what we have would be YSR 50s and 125s and this tiny little motards that are still not CRF 80s and 150s.
There's no racing.
They're not really approaching. Yeah.
There's no transition.
There's no transition.
There's no transition to go from running a mini bike, running a mini moto or something like that, and then sliding into an AMA class.
There was a Gulf Coast racing organization that had like 3 tracks because New Orleans was one of them.
Yep.
And they would come out with CRF 80s and 125s. And the problem they ran into constantly was they couldn't afford to buy the track before the kart guys could buy the track. And so the kart guys would eat up all the air in the room.
Yeah.
But then you're talking about kids are just racing go-karts. And then there's nowhere for them to go because if they're not going to transition into NASCAR,
there
basically.
is absolutely a transition from karts in our country, there's an amazing transition from karts into Super V and all kinds of
not only that,
things.
but not only is there a transition like that, but you can go from dirt carts or asphalt carts or circle track carts. Like, I mean, that shit is refined. And again, they have a pathway. You do this, you do this. Same with even motocross.
Right.
Motocross has it. Do you want to become a supercross rider? Get to here, do that. Do
Nicky
Loretta
Hayden went
Lynn's.
GP because he already had all those things.
Yeah.
He already collected the entire stack of trophies from all those different disciplines. So the fact that he made the jump to MotoGP was the weirdest thing in the world because you're like, he could have just made the jump to any of those other disciplines.
But the reason he was able to, though, is he brought the skills of sliding sideways into a fucking thing that nobody else was doing.
Right.
That dude, he was... God, it sucked that he got killed.
Well, it absolutely does, and it's one of the absolute heartbreaks.
Yeah,
Especially
like if you think about all the hours spent
my
going
wife had
190 miles an hour,
and
then the dude gets taken out going 2 miles an hour on a bicycle training. Oh.
My wife had the strongest crush on him, and she was like, "Look at him, he's beautiful, he's wholesome, the American kid." And then when he opens his mouth, it's pure Texas.
Yeah,
and she's like, I'm melting. And I was like, quit looking at him.
Oh, dude, if you remember back in the day, it'd be like the Boston brothers and him. And the girls would just be panties flying everywhere.
I was at Laguna Seca that year.
Yeah. And Phil's panties were flying out.
Very tough. Just me and Ewan McGregor hiding in the corner.
There you
go. Whatever be as cool as those guys. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I think like seeing something put up like that so that we can move some. And honestly, I don't care. I don't care if the racers are American or not. I'm not waving a flag at that. I just want to see the opportunity. Well, I just want to see the chase so that people can say, all right, Travis Pastrana.
Listen, give me the a few proud things about being an American. Right. One would be having a MotoGP champ. That would be something I'd get behind, man. Then I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking American, baby. My fucking dude won.
Had he not gotten hurt, Smallwood.
Oh, Scott was one of those ones. He was just natural talent.
Yeah.
You could hand Scott a shopping cart and be like, did you know there's a shopping cart racing league? And Small would be like, let me have a look at that.
Let me have a look at that.
Let me have a look at that, brother.
Hey,
you got to smoke?
Hey, you got to smoke?
Let me bum a smoke. I'm going to go race in the next heat. I'm going to borrow a set of leathers. I'm going to go race in the next heat and win.
Because had there been a pathway, had he not gotten hurt,
almost my age and still races BMX.
Oh, absolutely.
And his kids are all.
Oh, his kids are freaking. Of course, they're all. They're all clones.
Well, you know what's funny? You've seen all these industries develop new shit because of all of us aging.
Yeah.
So like BMX now has like it's like the big boy 26er. So it's like a BMX bike with 26-inch wheels that just roll over everything.
I don't need to remind you about the king of the baggers. Yeah, right. It's like, in case you're wondering about how you pander to an aging audience, you literally say, we're going to make a racing class for RVs.
But it's so fun to see them slide those big motherfuckers around the tires, man.
Would you not pay money to go watch a series of RV races?
You know what?
Yes, of course.
You know what?
You get any weird thing racing.
You know what I want to see? I want to see.
I'm scared to hear what you want to see, Tom.
Honda Goldwing with trailer racing.
Yeah.
Well,
not King of the Baggers. I want to see Goldwing.
I'm going to say
Coffee
Honda.
Maker.
I don't think Honda sees that as being.
I don't care about what Honda sees.
No. Well, you need money to do things. So if you don't have money, you're going to do things.
Goldwings are cheap as shit.
Harley-Davidson sees the money at the end of the rainbow, meaning that you win on Sunday, you sell on Monday, and that still works.
That doesn't tell their CEO.
I don't think that your average Goldwing buyer feels strongly about winning a race on Sunday ensures his marital virility is still intact enough to buy a Goldwing. Yeah.
I was just listening to a podcast from Josh Herron, the dude who just the champion from AMA Superbike.
Yep.
Or whatever it's called, the Moto America.
Moto America.
And
you're wearing their shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, the second can got me.
The second can definitely got you.
But he was saying exactly that. He was like, that not enough people right now in Moto America do the social media and stuff like that because the recognition brings the people in, like you were saying.
Okay.
And so like he was really good about getting out there and talking about it. It was a really interesting thing. But here's the crazy part, man. And this is a big difference. Like when you hear MotoGP guys, right? And you're talking about Valentino Rossi or any of these dudes, and they're like, oh yeah, they're $250 million fucking house or whatever, right? Yeah. he on the podcast was like, I haven't had a salary increase since I was 26. And he goes, it was $135,000.
Yeah.
So these dudes, they're still going 185 miles an hour, fucking all this time testing. They don't get to do anything else. They're testing, riding, doing whatever. But he says, fortunately for him, he was able through OnlyFans to get his helmet sponsors, and he makes enough money through helmet sponsors like
for OnlyFans
and shit.
That's genius.
I like this dude a lot.
I mean, we have talked about
We saw him at Mid-Ohio last
We've
year.
talked about transitioning to OnlyFans because the payout's better.
Yeah.
Well, but the idea of using OnlyFans as your sponsor,
Correct.
which because we know that OnlyFans is an unlimited bucket of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's
bucket of something anyway.
There's OnlyFans for
They
everything.
pay people to clean those buckets.
I mean, if there's an extra $50 in it, what do we need to do?
Right. I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's great that. I mean, motorcycle racing is always. It always has been a place where a company can say, "We're doing well. We've overcharged people on the motorcycle. We've overcharged people on the parts. We've overcharged people on the service, and now we can afford a race team." And in case you don't think I'm right, when you see a motorcycle company in trouble, the first thing they slim down on is the race team.
Oh yeah,
that is the first thing they slim down.
You know
on.
what I have noticed? If you go to like a high-end like accessory place for whatever motorcycle you want, you're looking, you're like, wow, that brake lever is $100 for a brake lever. That's a lot of money. But then you go and you put the word race in front of it, and then in the same brake lever that looks exactly the same is about $260, and you're like, why? Why is it more? Well, it's got the word race in front of it.
It has the word race in front of it. That is guaranteed. J1 brake lever is exactly the same as a whole lot of other brake levers. $179 for a extraordinarily breakable brake lever.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's almost engineered to be
like
super.
And don't get me
lever.
wrong. Like I'm doing a thing. I just got some for the bike,
Right.
you know, and like you can't go super fucking Amazon cheap.
No.
Because then it's too loose.
Correct.
You can never get it right. You know, the bearings don't fit right if it has bearings or something. But them middle ground motherfuckers, like the $60 ones for two, those are just as good as those $250
They
ones.
absolutely
Man.
are, and it was when I was a young kid. I was racing bicycles. It was like Campagnolo. Like you had to go Campagnolo. You had to go Campagnolo or go home. Go Delta brakes or go home. And this whole thing. And I would look at those like I was like, they're brakes for a bicycle. How can you charge $800 for just
fucking Italian?
brakes?
You know that from better than anybody.
Right. And I was like. So I didn't own a set, but I got loaned a bike that had a set on it.
Right.
And I stood there looking at these fucking things for like about an hour. And I'm just playing with them, opening them and closing them, playing them, pulling it, watching, see the way they work. And I'm like, this is not $800. This is no way in the world $800. But that paper Campagnolo hat that they sell you for $30 is how they're also like that is the world they're operating in. It's just not
style.
It's not normal. Yeah, it's a very strange thing. And sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze. Sometimes you buy an Arai helmet for $700 or $900, and you're like, well, there's enough credentials behind this that this is worth the $700 or $900.
Dude, helmets have got so advanced. I bought one for the track, and you can adjust how it fucking sits on the foam. So, like, you have 4 positions. So if you're tucked and you need more, you move the fucking skin of it back, and then it locks in. I'm like, holy fuck, this is
really
crazy.
cool, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But it is that kind of thing. It's like, yes, I sell Bell qualifier helmets for $109, and they are wonderful. They work great. They're cool. I own one. It's a good helmet.
Well, that's the thing. I got the Bell Race Star.
They also
Dell, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, but they also, out of the same exact company, produce a $795 helmet.
Oh yeah,
right. And you're like, okay, you can go either way. Now, I would like to think in 98% of collisions, that first helmet's going to give you just as much protection as that second helmet. But that second helmet is going to make your on-track experience that much better.
Yeah, most of the time, like once you get past, we're not talking about an eBay helmet that you're not sure is even the $140 helmet you paid for.
We see a lot of those.
Yeah, but no, if you get a legit HJC, whatever, like when all you're doing for the more expensive is getting a more purpose-built helmet, be it its shape, be it whatever, or the lightness, because obviously on a track, if you're going or whatever, you can't have a giant helmet pulling your head back when you're already for 20 minutes killing yourself.
I was riding I picked up a cheaper rye trade show deal. I'm not the kind of guy who would normally I'm going to throw down $900 for a rye, but there just so happened to be a trade show deal I was at end of the show, and I went by and the guy was like, he's packing up helmets, and I'm like, I bet you would love to not pack up an extra one of those helmets. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't care how many people wore that cocksucker this weekend. I will buy it right now if the price is right. And he goes, really? You really want to buy this helmet? And I was like, I will buy that helmet. You just figure out what the right price is, right? And he goes, all right. And I knew it was like $795 helmet. And he goes, all right. My manager says, give me your credit card right now. He'll run it for $400 and this is your helmet. And I was like, I could buy an Arai motorcycle helmet for $400. And it was purely fucking, all I was doing was brand posturing. I don't need an Arai helmet for anything.
They're pretty comfy though, man. I like me some Arai helmet.
And I bought it because many, many years ago, I tried on 17 different helmets because I have that Norwegian forehead, right? I have the longest oval. In fact, my head looks like an arc if you cut it apart, right? It's
like a 5.5.
Yeah. It is
Have you seen my 10-gallon head?
You definitely have got a monster head. And it was so funny.
John walked up to the helmet companies at the AIM show and they were like, oh no, he's going to ask us about helmet.
Hey, do you have a 4X back there?
Yes.
I have a 5 head.
And I tried the Quantum Sound when they first came out. And I was like, I really like this helmet. It fits good. It doesn't rub anywhere. It feels really good. It's nice.
I never found a Suomi to fit my head.
Well, and that was the thing. I was sponsored by Suomi for a while. And Suomi was not only giving me helmets, but the race team, they were supporting them with helmets too. And Suomi is just another way to spell showy. Yeah. Or shoey. So Suomi and shoey are they're totally sleeping together, man. There is no doubt that they're not the same thing. And when my sponsor set me up with the Suomi helmet, he was like, "Well, do you want a Bostrom or do you want a Rossi? Like, what spec do you want?" And I was like, "I think I need 6." And the guy was like, "You're not getting 6." And I was like, "Well, no. Everybody in my group, in my team, we need the Suomi helmets." So we got Technique leathers and we got Suomi helmets, and that's when I knew that they were stealing money from us, well, from the customers, because I was like, "You can't buy everybody on my team a pair of Techniques, and you can't buy everybody on my fucking team a Suomi helmet if you're not stealing from somebody. You're not getting all this money by traditional things Unless my dealership with you is just getting fucking hosed, unless I'm being ripped off. I was being ripped off. Everybody was being ripped off. But that's where race budgets come from. Mm-hmm. Race budgets come from, we're gonna make a ridiculous loss leader for the year and call it marketing. We're gonna go out and do a race team. We're gonna hire a bunch of dipshits to race for us. We're gonna put them in matching suits. We're gonna put them in matching helmets. We're gonna pay their track fees. We're gonna pay their racing licenses. We're gonna do all this crazy shit. And at the end of the day, we're gonna lose everything.
Well, you know what? I forgot my point before. So this is what you're saying again now. The reason that he was talking about, you said sell on Monday, win on Sunday, right?
Race on Sunday, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Yeah, right.
He's like, it doesn't work for Motor America. You know what worked for him? Was going out on the canyons and doing a fucking YouTube video.
Yeah, because
posting it as AMA Superbike racer rides the canyon.
He's like, look at us. He's almost like real people.
Yeah, and he said he sold more helmet things. He goes, some of his sponsors were mad until he saw 4.9 million views.
Oh, so he's when they show for street racer shit.
Yeah, so he was like, at first the AMA was kind of mad about it, and they're still not publicly like, hey, that was great. But the traffic that it's drawn in has been fucking crazy. It was pretty nuts.
It's hilarious anytime. Look, Guy Martin made an entire secondary career of not racing motorcycles. Mm-hmm. He will do anything on his channel but race motorcycles. And I will watch him there's only 2 things he doesn't do in his channel, and work on diesel's trucks and race motorcycles. Everything else is game on. He will engage in any weird Asian.
I watched him rebuild a longboat.
Exactly. Right. So the point is, he may have better dollar value off the motorcycles.
Yeah. But he is doing a fucking 8 million horsepower Hayabusa right now?
Land speed record. Yeah, he's doing that. And it's cool. I mean, again, he's a super fun, enjoyable guy to watch, and he's just on the spectrum enough to be interesting, and he's just kind of wow, he's really all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, for a long time, he was a diesel mechanic that was doing everything he could just to go racing.
Well, every time you see him on a show, they usually start with him at his dad's shop drinking a cup of tea in dirty overalls underneath a diesel truck.
Because they want to ground him. Yeah. They're going to ground him. They're going to ground him, first of all, because if they started the show the other way with him winning umpteen championships out of an air-conditioned triple trailer with like king beds in it and shit, you might not feel as sympathetic towards the guy.
Yeah, but it seems like he just really enjoys just doing mechanical shit.
I think he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you watch him.
Don't take that fantasy away from me. I want my dirty fucking buddy just working in his little pitiful garage and also winning races.
You watch him with like one of the world's greatest sword makers in Japan, and he's just hammering some shit out, and the old ancient, Japanese sword maker is kind of like, oh, you know what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, that makes me feel good. Let's hope for the little guy. And I'm like, yeah, but the little guy's also operating out of a $2.5 million race trailer. Yeah. So that little guy may not be so little.
But I honestly believe that he values the good stuff. I don't think he's giving a shit about fucking slapping a diamond necklace on.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He is an extraordinarily wholesome person. And that makes you feel good when you watch somebody who's extraordinarily wholesome. Right? Because there's too many fucking Andrew Tates in the world. And we don't need any more of that. We need people that are legit and cool and fun, and they appreciate the value of something. We don't need people preaching, do what I do or do what I say, and you're going to be like top G. That's some bullshit. Like, that fucks up 14-year-old boys.
Yep. Well, I mean, as an alpha male myself.
Jesus Christ. Sigma.
Oh, wait.
All right.
Wait, I got one thing. Hold on and do it. Ready?
Yeah. Breaking news.
So it's more Harley stuff.
Okay.
So you'll find this out, and this is fucking amazing because so many people are not going to know what it is until they really know what it is. Mm-hmm. So it came across me, this page, and I'm looking at this guy, and this guy's like, he's got like a Broham, biker headband on. He's got long hair, and he's got a cut on, and he's looking in the camera, and he goes, yeah, that's right. Hell's Angels, and listen, this is not me saying this in any way. This is me, doing this video because I don't want to die. But he's like, the Hell's Angels are fucking pussies. They ain't got no fucking balls. Fuck them. They can't have none of this. And I'm like, holy shit.
Well,
I'm like, this motherfucker's calling out like all the Hell's Angels.
The entirety group as themselves.
And so like, I'm like, is this actually the account? And it was, because, usually it's somebody like reposting it and then you never see anymore, right? So I hit it, and it's a whole fucking page of this. And then all of a sudden the dude has a twin brother, and I look, and it's like biker twin brothers or something, right? And they're like typical like biker looking dudes. And every video is like, you know why the Hell's Angels don't play sports? Because they don't got no balls and stuff like that. I'm like, holy fuck, right? You start looking deeper into it. I'm like, wait a minute. You look deeper, and it's an AI account. So the AI account is calling out the Hell's Angels, which is like, whoever's doing it better have a lot of layers of fucking protection.
That is a click factory.
Well, yeah.
But that is fucking, but it's also the greatest troll I've ever fucking seen in my life. Right?
That is, yeah.
I was kind of impressed with it after I thought about it. I'm like, God damn. So like, some dudes, like some guy named like Cap. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody.
What is it?
We're gonna ride on AI this weekend.
What's the rules? You don't tug on Superman's cape.
You
don't spit into the wind, and you don't shit on the fucking Hell's Angels.
I mean, the Hell's Angels are going after Tren de Agua in Pueblo, Colorado. Yeah. Like they're saying, like traditional law enforcement, DEI is not working hard enough. The Hell's Angels are going to become the new nemesis of Tren de Agua. So like this is a statement that comes out on their social media, and they're like, oh yeah, and the police are like, no, that's not happening. That's no. We've got Pueblo, Colorado under control and everything. Like, you haven't had Pueblo, Colorado under control for a long time, but it is just silly. And now the problem is, was it just a completely bullshit story? That's the people at the Hell's Angels were like, that's actually good. Like, I think it was completely fabricated. I think it was fake. And then when somebody found somebody with an HA jacket on, they were like, hey, do you know about this? And they were just like, sounds like something we do. Seems on brand.
Well, did you not read the newsletter? Because I'm sure I'm not in the loop, but I'm sure they have a newsletter at this point that kind of keeps everybody.
Check the HA signal
exactly. Like I'm not lying. This is not like an attack. This is literally I kind of feel like they need to have a signal or something to kind of keep everybody in the loop.
But just going back to that thing, that is the greatest troll.
But I will read you a quote though. I did find a quote on this. The HAMC does not involve itself in political issues outside of motorcycling. It takes no stance on the issue of immigration or the presidential election. we are concerned only with motorcycle enthusiasm and benefiting the communities it resides in.
Well, yeah, you can't be an outlaw and care about the law.
A video of a motorcycle riding in a pack provides no proof of this false rumor. I'm going to make some completely unsupported claim. And my completely unsupported claim is this was a completely made up thing, as much as your AI thing is completely made up. It is slop fucking AI.
Yeah.
It is slop YouTube.
Yeah.
And shitification of the news stream.
The thing is the comments though. Like the comments,
the comments are going to be fine.
Like there's dudes, but
absolutely.
that's the thing is, don't forget, like, okay, some of these like real, like true outlaw dudes, they're probably not fucking super computer savvy. They're not fucking sitting in their fucking
HA has a tech department.
I'm sure some of them do, but I'm
that
saying
big probably does.
there's some dudes that want to kill some dude that they don't know who it is, you know?
Again, we made a video talking about how we weren't going to shoot our Harley-Davidson.
Right.
And we got hate. Deep fucking hate. We got hate on a fucking spiritual level. And our video just said, we like guns and we like our motorcycles.
Yeah.
And it turns out I don't want to use my guns to shoot up my motorcycles.
It didn't do anything to anybody.
And that was exactly the point. And our thing was all about just like, hey, man, maybe just don't shoot up your motorcycle when that motorcycle could be bringing joy to somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe go shoot up some other dumb shit.
Especially because it's 40 years old and nobody's getting hurt
Nobody
that's at the
cares.
company.
Hyundais literally exist.
The motorcycles you're shooting were pre-DEI.
They've already been paid for 17 times. The money that was generated from those has been spent, man.
You're literally...
Realize there's a repo man looking for it right now anyway. It's fine.
No, there is no notes on any of the bikes they were shooting up.
They got cleared with the third owner going to jail.
They did not go into a new Harley-Davidson dealership, purchase the motorcycle on terms, leave and go, we're never making our second payment, unleash the M60 burn. No, they didn't do that. They'll let the 762 fly. They didn't do that. What they did was they shot up old motorcycles that somebody was like, I'm tired of cleaning the carburetor. And they're like, drag it out, make it run good enough for the camera, and then we're going to shoot the living shit out of it.
All we need is 55,000 views and it pays for itself.
That's the kind of the game.
You know what I really hate?
But people really did hate that we took a very, very mild response.
This brings up a really good point. And it's not just, but the fact that we've come to the point where art now is destroying things.
Oh, I think art has always been destroying things.
No, not always. But the reality is that, for interaction, you're talking about shooting up a Harley with a gun. I'm making a statement by shooting my dick. I mean, I'm shooting a gun at a fucking Harley.
How many years has Burning Man existed?
And that's a
25.
That is truly
pretentious bullshit.
And even in its origin, it wasn't pretentious bullshit. It's
always been pretentious bullshit and hippies and fucking acid and bullshit. If you can,
I love that he just said
drag
hippies,
that much crap,
acid, bullshit, and pretentious.
If you can drag that crap, if the Californians can drag that crap out of the middle of fucking high desert,
there's something
and
that I really
burn it, they have
associate.
too much fucking money right there.
I always associate hippies and acid with pretentiousness.
Right, I have since the '60s, and
A
I'm
bunch
not
of
even
uppity
that fucking
hippies.
old. Uppity hippies.
I'm sorry. Do you have any gray poop on acid?
The hippies became the yuppies, and the yuppies became the fucking yippies, and they can all suck my cock.
Well, I don't think for 1 second that there was a whole lot of pretentiousness going on.
It's all fucking pretentiousness.
Yep. Well, then let's not get started on Ren Ferris, shall we? Yeah. Let's not get started on those big parades down in New Orleans.
Oh,
and all the clubs that you've been voted out of.
That is pretentiousness.
And all the crews that you're not allowed in anymore. Yeah, because you're not pretentious enough for those crews.
I really am not.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm going to say, that's a thing that exists. Yeah. All right. Well, anybody got anything else?
Well, we had some questions come in throughout the moment that are kind of interesting. So one of them was from our friend, and I can't find his name now. But he was coming through Pennsylvania up through that way, trying to go to Mid-Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
And remember when I took Dan's trailer and I brought a bike back through Pennsylvania? It cost me like $85 just to go through the tolls.
The tolls are no fucking
Yeah, so he was like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So he was like, are there any hotels nearby? So I think maybe it's time for some of the people that have been listening and haven't come yet, that maybe we just give them a little heads up. No, don't go to hotels. Just bring a fucking tent. Like if you really
That's
need a
right.
camper, it's not, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I guess look up the tolls or something, but you really don't need to bring a camper.
You don't need a camper. You can sleep in your car. Right?
Car, tent, any of that.
You want some hate mail?
Oh, always. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You guys might remember Chance Ford.
Yeah.
Chance Ford. Listen to the last couple of shows. It seems like I need to be a bit of a squeaky wheel myself.
Uh-oh.
I've been a Patreon member since 2019.
Hey.
And I haven't gotten a stuffed box since 2020.
Uh-oh.
I'm feeling a little blue-balled over here, man.
Uh-oh.
Looking forward to the shenanigans every single week. Can't wait to see you guys at Vintage Days in a few months. Chance in Michigan. Chance, you bring up an excellent point, sir. And just because that, squeaky wheel. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. You don't say nothing, I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to make sure you get a box. We're going to make sure you get a box of cool shit.
You know what? I might stuff it personally.
That could happen. That could be a real thing.
There's probably a good chance he's going to get one.
There is a good chance he's going to get one. God damn it! We have people submitting. Art for our competition, and I would like to throw up the latest piece of art that we got because it's fucking hilarious.
Hold on, before you do that, you got an update on your G400C. You sold.
Wait. Mitch Horner rode the G400C. Already lost screws out of the taillights.
The cat eye.
Mitch. Cat eye, one, Loctite is your friend. Two, a single cylinder at 80 miles per hour. That's like
Everything's going to vibrate.
21,000 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The piston speed.
Yeah.
It's real fast. So, it goes like 21,000 miles an hour. It
Is he
stops and
already
goes
back?
really
Is he
fast.
still here? Or is he already back in?
Well, I don't know. He was in the back of his pickup truck. He
That's true.
just unloaded it. Very cool, Mitch.
Yeah.
Rock on.
This is the one that was talking about coming across the turnpike with
Okay,
the.
there you go. Fat guy on a little bike.
So he was looking for a hotel. He doesn't want to stay because his dad does not want to stay in a tent, and he's not wrong. But bringing a camper. Well, he's trying to figure out how to bring a camper.
You know what though? If you're thinking about hotels, the hotels that are worth staying there are going to be more than the tolls to bring your camper.
That's right.
Also true.
So if you have a camper that you're comfortable with or something, that's
Budget
gonna be cheaper.
$160 a night for that weekend.
Yeah.
For a hotel. So, yeah.
I mean, it's going to cost you $300 and some bucks to get a motorhome. Well, I don't know, a camper, motorhome. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Airbnb squee. So you might be able to get away with some kind of something like that.
But it'd be hard if you haven't already started looking.
Also true because this
right.
is a big weekend.
Big weekend.
You're better off with like a enclosed trailer with some, cots and mattresses and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Those you can get in and stay in tent camping and
that's the
not have to do a
guys,
motorhome.
I want to bring something up. I mean, if I'm talking out of turn and something.
It says Nate from Virginia. That's who's talking.
Okay. So if I'm talking out of turn and if anybody from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course or AMA Vintage Days wants to punk me out on this, feel free to. So remember that tent camping authorizes you vehicle parking for multiple vehicles. But more importantly, they specify ein vehicle and ein trailer in your tent camping spot. So one vehicle, one trailer, and I think up to 6 humans, right, in your tent camping spot. So if you have a vehicle and a trailer, you might want to be in a tent camping spot. Just saying, that's what their rules say.
Right.
So maybe lean into that a little bit, rent yourself a little pop-up or something cool, and off to the races.
And we're all in the last row by Kentucky corner, by the way.
Yeah, we're back.
We're
And
taking
if you have
the
a
entire
pop-up
corner.
you're dragging behind your car, put a big orange thing or something on it so
Absolutely.
nobody slams into it. Or
Yeah, I mean pop-up camper. One of our pieces of art that we just received, Sleepy's going to throw it up to the
right,
viewers
let's
at
see
home. It's got 2 gentlemen with heroic beards in black leather jackets riding a Vespa, a 60s Vespa, and it says, "So then I took off my purse and beat him to death with it." Yeah, that's it. Every single time somebody says, that's been a rap that we do at the shop all the time. People are
hit it with your purse.
Everyone's like, "Yeah, man, I don't want to ride that bike though, because somebody's gonna think I'm gay." And usually, what I say is, "Dude, every time somebody says nice bike, fag," I jump off and kill him with my purse. I beat him to death with my purse, and it always makes people laugh. But it's true. It never happens. It's not a thing. That's nothing anybody's worried about at all. Anyway, not a big deal. Some of the other hate mails we got. Let me see here. Mount Vernon. So yeah, that was Mitch Herner. That's Mitch Herner. He was in Mount Vernon. He was working in Mount Vernon, but he doesn't live there. He lives in that. So ClevelandMoto, Mark Kenyon in New Jersey has a great idea. He says, loves, just going to read, hello, Cleveland Moto. Renee and Phil, longtime listener from New Jersey. Love the podcast. Love Phil's insight and perspective on the motorcycle industry and owning a motorcycle shop. Yeah, that's why we do it. It's fun. It's stupid. I heard in the last podcast, you have a lot of t-shirts and magazines. Great idea for a box would be 2 or 3 t-shirts and 2 or 3 magazines for $50. Totally random. You get what you get and you don't get upset. Consider this my order. Let me know the best way to pay for it. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to end up with 3 small t-shirts, maybe a girly shirt, and at least 3 copies of Twist and Go magazine, arguably one of the worst magazines ever produced. It's British, so it does have some boobs in it, which is nice. There is boobs,
Does
which
it
is
have
nice.
English teeth too, though?
I don't know.
Okay.
Some are teeth. Some are here, some are there.
Right.
That's cool. But anyway, when somebody, and I like where he says, you get what you get and you don't get upset. Oh, I promise you, if you got one of these boxes for $50, you get upset.
Get what you get and you don't pitch a fit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Get what you get. Don't pitch a fit. All right. So
Just took a shit. What?
Gordon Tillman. Gordon Tillman says, greetings, folks. My wife and I just got home to Humble, Texas after a quick trip out to Seguin to visit our oldest daughter and her guy. We couldn't stay long because I've got to prep and pack tomorrow, Easter Sunday, for a 3-week work trip to South Korea.
Wow.
When we got back, I found a mysterious box on the porch. What could this be? Well, I can tell you it was a box packed full of wonderful goodies. First off, thank you for the kind letter. I love you all and the podcast, which I tried to never miss. Now, on to the prizes. So many great stickers, a lovely and very comfortable Cleveland Moto beanie. I'll cherish it forever. The t-shirt is absolutely awesome and fits perfectly. I'm planning to wear it on my flight to Korea, which departs from Houston Airport at an obscenely early 0500. The Cleveland Moto shop rag is very cool. It even carries a subtle hint of motor oil. No, that's just what the shop smells like.
Yeah.
People walk into the shop all the time and like, this smells like a motorcycle shop. I'm like, this smells like hydrocarbons.
Just think if they knew that you had that plugged in as a scent.
Shafran brought us that.
Shafran brought us a 2-stroke candle. The shop smells more authentic.
We fire up that LT50 every now and again just for fun because it makes the smell.
Dude, how funny would that be? You just hit a switch and it shuts off and then it's just fucking nothing.
Right. It doesn't smell like anything anymore. No, we've got straight up 10 years in that building of making it smell like us.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, it carries a subtle hint of motor oil, which I found strangely comforting. And the tire gauge, super convenient and already in my toolkit. Now about the mysterious ceramic figure.
Uh-oh.
My wife and I weren't quite sure what it was at first. So I took a picture and asked Gemini, AI, for help. Gemini identified it as a Tanuki statue and gave me a bit of a history. When I asked about the small hole on the front and the larger one on the back, here's what I learned. Regarding the holes on your Tanuki statue, it sounds like it might be a tokuri, which is a type of sake bottle. Here's why those holes likely exist. The small hole in the front, this is the spout for pouring of the sake. The large hole in the back, this is the opening for filling the tokuri with sake. Many Tanuki statues, especially those intended for practical use, are designed as sake vessels. This one is not. The Tanuki's round belly makes a perfect container, and the spout is cleverly integrated into his form. So it seems like you have a Tanuki statue that also serves as a traditional Japanese sake bottle. How neat is that? You can use it to serve sake or simply display it as a decorative and auspicious object. Later, when I told Gemini it was a gift from the good folks at Cleveland Moto Podcast, Gemini replied, "That's a really cool gift from the Cleveland Motorcycle Podcast folks. It adds an extra layer of interest knowing where it came from. Perhaps they have a connection to Japanese motorcycle culture or just thought it was fun and unique gift. Either way, it sounds like a thoughtful present. Enjoy your sake serving, good luck bringing Tanuki." And I was like, even AI is like just stupid friendly.
Who doesn't love a Tanuki?
Who doesn't love a Tanuki? I want to thank each and every one of you for the most excellent and thoughtful gifts. You guys really made my day. Keep on riding fast and taking chances. With much love from Texas, Gordon Tillman. Gordon Tillman, you write a fucking good letter, man.
And we have some awesome fucking email writers. We got our monthly update from Europe with one of the best. Like, I have vivid pictures in my head of his emails.
Yes.
Now, this dude's making me fucking wish I could learn to fucking type.
It is
amazing.
amazing. I'm going to start I'm going to read this, and you guys tell me if we read it already, because you remember we had a little rant about Teslas and that kind of shit. You know, how their Cybertrucks are rusting.
Cybertrucks are rusting, yes.
Okay, so Rowdy Rotten Reimer, a.k.a. Rowdy Reimer, or Rowdy Reamer, I guess, listening to episode 497, just heard the discussion about not being where the fuckers can get you, because we're talking about cameras and and he says not being where the fuckers can get you. Doing this probably saved me lots of pain and maybe my life years ago when I lived in the Orlando area. The route I took to work had a traffic light by a firehouse that was always flashing yellow when I went by. We've seen those. They're always flashing yellow. So I generally just didn't think too much about it. Well, one morning, it happened to turn red just before I was about to go past the firehouse. For obvious reasons, there was a fire truck coming out, right? I braked really hard to avoid running the light. And out of habit, as I braked, I drifted to the far left side of the lane before stopping. He then noticed the sound of truck brakes as a giant concrete truck came to a stop where I was, just to the right of him. I could have reached out and touched the front left wheel. I'm pretty sure he had to swerve a bit to avoid me. But had I been in the center of the lane, he wouldn't have swerved enough.
Yep.
I just looked back at the driver, gave him a thumbs up, and rode off when the red light switched back to flashing yellow. Rowdy Otto Reimer. So Rowdy Otto Reimer, that's exactly right. Panic stop. You don't know what's behind you. But what a great thing he did was he moved himself over to that double yellow line.
Never be in the center of a lane.
Right.
Like that is the first thing I can tell everybody is never stop in the center.
Super cool. What a good move.
So,
what a good move. And then to have, I can even imagine the sound of a fucking concrete truck. All those brakes. So, because when air brakes come on, they come on right now.
Dude, there's all these little things like that. Like even just wiggling through an intersection. Like I'll never forget. I did a whole video on it, but like I talked about that cop with that pen. Everybody's seen it. But that cop's talking and he's like, if you're not paying attention, motorcycles don't take a lot of space. And if they don't move toward an intersection, and he moves the pen and the fucking motorcycle's like,
it's on. Yep.
And so that means that the whole time your bike is only in this much of a fucking vision thing. So if you add a weave, when you're going through intersections and you're not just in one part of the lane, people are like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But guess what?
No idea.
They know that you are now right there. You're the guy doing some weird fucking wiggling through the intersection.
I was thinking about this earlier with the Stelvio, because it's got the radar, front and rear, and the travel and the following cruise control and everything else. I was thinking, there needs to be a program built into it that can recognize that the car behind you might be a Tesla. So it automatically warns you to get the fuck out of the way, or it deploys two lights like far enough away that it actually recognizes it.
Makes you. I instantly just became a car. A weird thing I was reading today was we're going to the training. They're like, okay, we understand ABS brakes.
Yeah,
we understand ABS brakes, and we understand traction control. So traction control means if your front wheel gets up in the air too high, it clips a little sparky spark, and your front wheel comes back down, and then they can.
Or if your rear wheel happens to be 10 psi down.
Well, how about this? If your back wheel comes off the ground because of excessive, I waited too long, and you find yourself in a stoppie that's gotten well away from you, the motorcycle will unfuck your shit.
Yeah.
It will unstoppie.
Really? That's interesting.
That is really interesting.
The fact that the two words three words, Moto Guzzi and technology are in the same fucking sentence.
Again, nobody ever trusts the Italian space program.
Can you set an angle? Because that's the only thing. I used to be really good at stoppies until I wasn't.
Well, that's the idea is because sometimes, panic stop, 100% of braking energy on the front tire, back wheel comes up in the air, and you have a no shit sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Well, on the off chance that you're not good enough to regulate that situation, or in that extreme pucker-facker moment, back your brake hand off 1 nano cunt off of the fucking lever to save your ass. There's a computer there to do it for you. It will literally back off the brakes a wee bit just to get the ass lower.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you could just set it so that you could have all the fun you wanted right up to fucking 11:59, and then it would just shut the brakes off so you can't fucking go
at
over.
Zero,
because that hurts.
There's an engineer at Zero Electric Motorcycles that says, yeah, I can press a button and make your bike ride an 11 o'clock wheelie for the rest of its life.
Well, yeah, because
you can go everywhere.
Because it's like a one wheel, and it's just putting that one wheel here. Yeah,
because it's all about the torque and the torque and balance at that point. So really, all you need is a gyroscope and a rear wheel.
Yeah, well, it takes all the fun out of it when you're like, okay, put bike in wheelie mode. Okay, just crack throttle wide open and determine the speed of your wheelie.
Yeah.
You're fine. Go have fun. Go fuck off. I love the idea of it. It's super cool. All right. Oh, fuck it. Nobody's got anything else? Last chance,
we've already filled in the Smith jokes. So.
Yes, we did. And remember,
Did I get dildoed?
No, you did not get dildoed.
Not yet. Wait.
Remember that if you have not joined a local DGR, you can create one. Go to your fucking DGR. It's going to be super fun. Dress up, be stupid, ride motorcycles, contribute to charity.
Get you a fedora, act weird.
Yeah, get weird, man. Just get weird. It's a fun thing, man. It's a super fun thing.
We're all wearing like fancy tuxedos. We're all going to wear tuxedos and like no pants.
It'll just be fancy. We're going to be super fancy.
It's going to be Chippendales.
I promise you I'm wearing pants.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I might, if it's hot enough, I might wear a kilt.
Yeah.
But kilt in the motorcycle there's a blow up factor there.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're riding the kilt in the motorcycle, you got to do a lot of tucking.
And what bite? Because some of them vinyl seats, man.
Yeah,
if you're on a
also an
kilt,
issue.
there's stickage and all kinds of things
stickage.
that can just go.
But the point is, every time you sit back on your motorcycle when you're running a kilt, you got to retuck. Like you 100% got to retuck, because if you even like get off the seat a little bit for a speed bump or something, even the slightest amount, the motorcycles are like a perfect venturi for blowing your skirt up. And then you can't see and your dick is out. This is a combination of I can't see and my dick is out.
Dude, you just triggered. I just saw this fucking video of this dude. It's like in this Asian country, and the dude goes to sit on a little fucking stool.
Yeah.
And it has holes all over it. And when he stands up, and both his balls are through the fucking thing.
Yeah, he's sitting on a milk crate. And a milk crate with a broken top. Yeah. Oh, you'll never get it back. It's a Chinese finger puzzle at this point.
I have not laughed.
You're going to have
so
4
hard.
people to cut apart that milk crate before your balls turn blue and fall off. And you become castrato.
It was so terrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. And he sits down on the thing so confidently.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally fake staged.
You think?
Because I don't think anybody's fucking berries got pushed through the top of a milk crate.
Well, if it's fake, it's funny enough that
if you think that you're going to push your grapes through the top of a regulation milk crate because it's got a little crack in it, then you must be going 700 miles an hour. You got to be sitting down so super fast to push your grapes through the fucking plastic on the top of a milk crate. That is never going to happen.
So the only thing I can think is that the Guzzi with the active arrow would be perfect for a kilt.
Oh, yeah.
Because at that point it pushes it over the top.
Oh,
so
yeah, for real.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it up the kilt.
No, and the active arrow might be like
the active arrow might be the way to go.
The kilt dampener 2000.
The kilt dampener 2000.
Yeah, it might be the actual kilt dampener 2000. Yeah, because I can tell you on the Verses, my shit was blowing all over the fucking place. Yeah, I had no chance. And it's San Francisco, so you're always popping over a hilltop or something. Yeah. There's always wind. You're always standing up to get over some weird thing or up on the sidewalk, off on the sidewalk, whatever. And I was just like, I felt like good though, because I was in the kilted gentleman's ride. Like we're in a kilted ride. There's 100 people all wearing kilts, guys and girls alike. So there's much ass to be seen. much ass to be seen. But the problem is the vision obscurity. When the kilt goes in front of your face, if you're mid-clutch shift, whatever, you do not have a hand free to pull that cocksucker down from in front of your face. Right. So you are momentarily blinded by kilt.
Yeah.
So yeah, not the
rest of the world's blinded by whatever.
No, the rest of the world's
they have a naked bike ride out there. It's fine. They know what they're doing.
Nobody gives a shit about your fucking banana slug or whatever you're packing down there. There's 2 San Francisco restaurants.
I think he's got a tear in that seat.
I think he sat in some gum. That's it.
That's fucking great.
All right, guys. That's it. That's been episode 501. Remember to ride fast and take chances. Get us out of here, Johnny Mac.
Bum, bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum,
Eject, get us out of here. So press the red button. Whoa. Devil's Max.